For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and live without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination, wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4-hour twisting beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek, Road America, the racetrack, the National Park of Speed.
The National Park of Speed at Elkhart Lake has been known time and time again to provide some of America's best racing. It's fitting then that this 4-mile circuit through the woods is named Road America. How do 7 streamers and their teams of 6 handle Road America in GT3 cars for an hour? Well, I guess it's time to find out. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV for the second NARL Streamer Championship. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Andy McEwen alongside today. Andy, welcome to Elkhart Lake.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really looking forward to this. It's a fantastic idea, this. You know, the streaming community is a real family, and I know they all get on really well, but a bit of healthy rivalry is always a good thing, and special one-off events like this always bring out the best in them, I think. So, yeah, looking forward to a good race.
I wholeheartedly agree with that statement just from the get-go. The streaming community needs these little kind of fun, I guess, competitions, co-opetitions, if you will, at times. And we'll get kind of more into that in just a moment. Elkhart Lake's Road America. Most of us, if not all of us, already know this place. Mostly like the back of our hands, I'd say. It's just a good racetrack. Long straightaways. What I really like about this place actually is from turn 5 all the way through turn 12. That's, I think, the best section of racetrack here at Road America. I can do without the long straightaways in my opinion, but the switchbacks through 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way down to the carousel, around the kink, and down to Canada Corner especially, is just a lot of fun racetrack.
It's a deceptively difficult racetrack, I find. You look at the circuit map there, and as you say, you see these long straights, 90-degree corners. Doesn't look too challenging until you put yourself out on track, especially in a high-performance GT racing car, and then you realise it's very easy to make a mistake, and especially in that middle sector that you mentioned, one mistake, it ruins your momentum for the next 2 or 3 corners. So to hook up a really good lap, you've got to be concentrating fully.
Absolutely. Again, when you name two people Andrew, you put them in a commentary booth together, it sounds like they just get right on the same page from the get-go. I like that. We do have a pretty stout field of drivers today. We don't have a full entry list that we can show. It would take up too much of the screen, I promise you that. 50 drivers for this race, 7 streamers, and their 6 counterparts makes up 49, and then one errant Tony Kanaan decided to join in on the action, and he'll be racing as a privateer for himself. Do want to just quickly mention one thing. We have got the one, the only Dan Suzuki alongside, and what's interesting about this is if you go back to the first Streamer Championship that was back in June of last year at Road Atlanta as opposed to Road America, Dan Suzuki and his team won. They absolutely crushed the field right alongside Balkan. They actually, I believe, tied or came out darn near each other in the points. The edge did go to Dan Suzuki, but we didn't get to talk to him that day. The good news is, this morning, we do have Dan Suzuki alongside. And Dan, first off, good morning. Welcome to you. How you doing?
Good morning. Wait, let me quickly park my car. I just crashed somebody off the road. I'm doing well. I hope you guys are fine too.
Well, we're doing better than I assumed that crashed car might be doing. But what's interesting is, we usually take our post-race break and then come back with interviews. I didn't think it would take all the way until January before we get to talk to the winner of the first Streamer Championship. Let's go back to June if we can a little bit. You guys came out right with Balkan, if I recall. You guys were almost tied, I do believe. I mean, you were so close, and you just barely edged ahead. What was that like that first time out in the first Streamer Championship?
It was awesome. Like, I think our AM division made the difference there. Like, Balkan had the pros on his side, and I think they won that section of the race. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, Road Atlanta is always good. I always say, like, Road Atlanta, best track in the world for me. And yeah, it was awesome to win that first one. We had a really awesome trophy as well. And yeah, it was cool. Let's see how Road America goes.
Yeah, from Road Atlanta up to Road America, it would be very much white right now if it were real life, but thankfully the place is thawed out. How do you feel today? I see you're in a Lamborghini. I see a lot of Lamborghinis in the field. How do you feel about the car choice?
It's the first time I tried this combo today. The team, I basically gave the choice to the team which car to drive, and then I wasn't at home the whole weekend, so today is the first time in that. Well, not in the car, obviously, but with this combo. But it feels great. It's a little loose in the rear on the brakes. I struggle a little bit with that. Use Vinalas here or there, but yeah, still some time to practice, and I think in the race it will be fine.
And obviously kind of new teams this time around. A few drivers moving here and there. I saw a lot of the same names, but mostly different. How do you feel about your team this time specifically versus last time at Road America, or Road Atlanta rather?
I think we should be doing well. I stole Tommy from Balkan, for example, and we have Tony as a special guest this time in our team. Yeah, it should be good fun. I think it's about fun. It's about having a good time together. And for me, it's not really about like pushing it to the limit and making sure we win it. It's just I want to have a good time with friends, and yeah, this is what it's all about, I think.
Yeah, the highlight really feels like it is just a fun kind of co-opetition event for a lot of you guys, and I already saw, like, obviously Tyson and Balkan are working together today, but I just saw, like, Matt Malone was looking at one of you guys' streams a little bit ago, and it seems like you guys are all ready to kind of work together to make the event a big success, but also, I mean, you want to beat each other. How does that come down to then, like, if you go to turn one, for example, the first lap alongside of, be it Balkan or Samside or whoever, are you going to go a little bit harder or hold back?
Well, you know, there are 17 eggs to spare. No, I'm just kidding. First lap, trying to make the car go through lap 1 in one piece, and then see from there on. I mean, like, it's always fun to drive against people you know from other streams, and it's like, you know, it's basically friends. It's online friends. Is it real friends? I don't know where to really make the difference there, but it's driving against friends, and it's cool.
And we bring in a couple of new friends as well, and Daniel Morad and Love 46. How do you feel they stack up with their teams? I know I've seen particularly Suelio Almeida and Giuliano Romagnolo from Radness. They really got my attention. How do you feel about those guys joining in?
Yeah, we need to move those out of the way, I guess. No, they should be strong. Morad is a super strong driver himself. I think he will probably be the favorite for the streamer. from other streamers, I would guess. So let's see. I don't know. I haven't really checked who's on whose team and everything. But let's just come the race to us and have fun.
Fair enough. I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but I do want to ask you one more thing here. Then I'll turn you over to Andy, and we'll see if he has any questions. Call your shot now. Where do you finish? How do you feel Dan Suzuki as a team does?
P3.
P3? So you P3 in the race, or the team P3?
I think the team would maybe make P3. I think we are not as strong as Road Atlanta because we had like a few drivers who really loved Road Atlanta. For example, me. I don't think I will be as strong as in the last race, but I think we still will finish decently, and yeah, let's see.
There you go. Dan Suzuki calling a shot. Top 3 for the team. I like that. I think that's pretty conservative, but decently still pretty confident. Andy McEwen, do you have anything for Dan Suzuki?
Yeah, I would like to think he's targeting a better result than third, and I've got faith in you now. I think you can get up there and fight for the race win. Can you maybe use a little bit of strategy today to put yourself in that position, or is it just flat out from the start? Are you managing the tyres? What's the deal with that?
Well, I personally love doing undercuts. I guess everybody who watches my streams will know me as Mr. Undercut. Let's see how that goes if we're stuck in traffic. I think Road America is a brilliant track to pull the undercut. I haven't really checked, like with the 60 liters, it might be very, very close to being like 50% race distance. So we got to see how that will go. But yeah, just got to come the race to us, and I think we'll probably have a strong strategy. I hope. At least I hope so.
It is a racetrack that you can overtake at as well, isn't it? If you get that slipstream down the long straights, lots of big braking points, so that helps.
Absolutely. Also, we're using the medium downforce fixed setup, so there will be some wing on the car, and the more wing you have, the more the slipstream affects the car speed. So I guess we will see a lot of overtakes. We'll see a lot of nice action on track, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And surviving that first lap, I guess, for that exact reason, could be tricky.
That is very true. I'm waiting for the 7 wide down the straight here.
So we're counting on that, actually. So yeah, looking forward to the start of the race. Andrew, it's going to be busy out there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how you manage the traffic. In fact, Dan, do you feel like you'll see any lap traffic, especially after a couple of incidents at the start, maybe a couple of pit stops? How do you feel like that's going to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think independent of crashes, the skill gap is quite big. We have like drivers that are nearly 8K, and then we have the AM drivers, some of them in the 1K region or so. I mean, there's quite a big skill gap, and I definitely will expect traffic in the race.
Well, there you go. That is Dan Suzuki. Dan, I'll let you get back to practice. Best of luck to you and your team. See if you can go for back-to-back.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
And that is Dan Suzuki. Good to talk to somebody like Dan, obviously pre-race. We've got 6 other streamers today. You know what? We didn't even get to go through the full list yet. So we have Dan Suzuki, of course, defending champion of this event. We also have Matt Malone back in the race. We have Balkan back. We brought... my brain kind of stopped. Samsoid is back, and Dave Cameron is back. So Dan Suzuki and each of the 4 streamers that we did get to talk to at Road Atlanta, they are all back. And then we brought in Daniel Moradness and Love46, whose name I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce. That is just a few too many letters for me, but it's a solid field. We can go ahead and bring up the practice standings here, Andy. It is a really, really stout field, and you see a lot of the Moradness logos kind of top of the board there. In fact, 3 of them, and one of them is one of those guys that I mentioned, Suelio Almeida, one of the, I think, best Porsche Cup drivers in the service. He's certainly up there. Daniel Morad is 3rd. Tyson Meyer kind of surprises me. I'm not going to lie, for Balkan at 5th place. Corkatire is looking pretty good.
Yeah, and what really strikes me looking at those lap times is how close they are. You know, this is a 4-mile racetrack. It's not a short lap at all. And yet look at how tight it is. You've got the top 20 basically within the first second of each other, and a nice mix of the teams up there as well. So that certainly bodes well for a close and competitive race. And when it is that close, you really have to fight for every single position on track. There isn't going to be any such thing as an easy overtake. Strategy definitely will come into it, because you can gain seconds through playing the right pit strategy. You could spend 20 laps on the track trying to gain that sort of time just through good lap times. So, yeah, it looks competitive out there.
Yeah, to see the entire top 20 within a second of one another, that's pretty incredible. The entire field of 50 cars, Andy, is only separated by 3 seconds. I don't know how you draw up a closer field of 50 GT3 drivers. I really don't. Especially, you know, Dan talked on the point that we have a very wide skill gap. And I don't mean that to downplay anybody, but we do have 8Ks, and I saw one driver at about a 900 I rating. That is almost a tenth of the I rating of one of our top drivers in this event. I don't know how you drop a better skill gap that just evens out like this to where we have only 3 seconds of separation over 50 cars.
Yeah, and that means that we're... Yeah, that means we're quite likely to see a bit of mixing between the classes as well, doesn't it? Some AM drivers that will get up there and be racing wheel to wheel with the pros, and that presents a complication of its own. Those pro drivers, they don't really want to be wasting their time racing with the quick AM drivers, but likewise the AMs just want to get as far forward as they can. So the midfield especially, which is where they're likely to mix together, that could get really, really lively.
Yeah, we do have those technical, quote, classes of drivers. Now, we're not scoring by classes. Everybody's just scoring for their own team. But you're right. We do have those classes of drivers, much like in the North American Racing League as a whole, where we have Pro-Am, and amateur drivers. So it kind of sorts out in that way. We are going to take a step aside here. You can see the weather, though, right before we go. Looks like a pretty calm day at Road America. I don't know how many times I've broadcasted each, and I still mix up the names for no reason. Road America, Road Atlanta, they just, I don't know. Anyways, we're here at Road America. You can see the weather. Looks like a nice little calm day. Certainly a lot warmer than it actually is. I wouldn't mind these temperatures, in fact, but the wind does... That does stand out to me. 13 miles an hour right now. That's pretty sustained as well. It's not just a gust and then dropping back down. Even the gusts are going up to almost 16 miles an hour. What that does concern me with, while these guys do have one of the higher downforce setups, potentially picking up that rear wing a little bit if they get a tailwind, or slowing the leaders down if they get a headwind, and really promoting that kind of draft pack feel down some of the straightaways. We're going to take a step aside. We've got 50 minutes of action here just ahead. Again, 7 streamers, and there's 6 drivers apiece for teams, and then an errant Tony Kanaan out there. We have got the second Streamer Championship and all the coverage associated with it here for you at Pit Stop TV. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and live without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination, wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4 twisting, beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek. Road America, the racetrack, the national park of speed.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to shine bright as your best self. And our teeth whitening system
Welcome back to the Virtual Road America. We have got just a couple of moments before qualifying gets underway. In fact, I say a couple of moments, more like 4 minutes or so before qualifying gets underway. You do now see that in 9th place, though, Andy, we have got that one errant Tony Kanaan. He is running for Tony Kanaan, and he is out there. In fact, he's running some laps in practice. Now, he's got, at least preliminarily, I don't think that's going to stay because that paint scheme looks like it's a bit mixed up. He usually runs affiliated with Sam Sweat. I do not think, at least per Scott Reister, who runs this show as we know, per Scott Reister, he is not competing for Dan Suzuki, not competing for any streamer. He's competing for Tony Kanaan. So we'll see how that one goes. But he is out there in an Audi, which also has me a bit interested. If you go up to the top Samsoy driver, he is in a BMW.
Interesting. Either way, Tony, he's pretty good, isn't he? He's known for being pretty handy behind the wheel of either a real or a virtual car, actually. He's a real big supporter of iRacing, isn't he, Tony? And he uses it a lot, I know, himself, and encourages other drivers that are trying to make a career for themselves in the real world to use iRacing as a learning tool, basically. And yeah, as we're seeing, he's on the pace immediately inside the top 10. And you know, any time you're in a race on iRacing or anywhere, to be honest, and you see a name like Tony Kanaan appear on the scoring sheet, you immediately just find that extra bit of drive to get up there and beat him and be able to tell your friends and family, yeah, I'm quicker than Tony Kanaan. So that's going to be a real sort of carrot dangling on a stick for everyone that's chasing him right now.
And he's even got the NTT Data helmet. Look at that. He is definitely playing right to his support there. You see Tony Kanaan or any real driver, for that matter, on iRacing, and immediately, you're right, you want to go faster. It could be Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a Daytona session. It doesn't matter. Even street stocks at a short track, you see Dale Jr., you want to go faster. And that stands true for when you see Max Verstappen in a session, Lando Norris. Doesn't matter what the driver is. You see one of those pro drivers, and you want to go out there and at least hang with them or get close, right? I mean, they might wax you a little bit, but you want to get close. And in this case, Tony Kanaan is, yes, he's beat by 8 drivers, but he's also beating 40 others.
And that is just the great thing about iRacing, isn't it? Where else can you rub shoulders with these sort of names on a pretty regular basis, really, as well? It is just so exciting. And Tony Kanaan, great to have him on board here. A bit of a wild card entry maybe for tonight, but going to be fascinating to see not just how he gets on for his own performance, but how he interacts with some of the other teams. Of course, his result here tonight could really have an impact on the standings at the end of the race.
Another wild card, I feel like, is this guy right here, Quirketize, as many of you will know him, Tyson Meyer, competing for Balkan, not as his own team. That kind of opened things up, and of course, you see him, he's top 5 right now in practice. He is the top Balkan driver by a long shot. Looking really, really good in that Lambo. And I know Balkan has actually opted to go all Lamborghinis throughout the entire team. You saw a lot more split car choice through the teams last time around. In fact, you could see all the way down to leave there in 19th. Tyson Meyer is the fastest driver for Balkan by 14 drivers right now in practice. That is staggering. But again, single car choice, Lamborghinis only for Balkan. That's kind of interesting.
It is. I'm interested to see just how popular the Lamborghini is as well today, because I wouldn't necessarily have said that Road America is the best kind of circuit for these cars. We normally see the big front-engine GT3 cars like the Mercedes AMG, for example, do well at this kind of track. They've got good engines, good top speed, and that weight over the front axle really helps them through the long sweeping corners. But hey, what do I know? The Lamborghini obviously is the most popular choice tonight, and these teams and drivers, they know what they're talking about, so clearly they have better pace than I expected.
Certainly. I think the Lambos will be one of the better cars, if only by sheer majority. I think the Lambo will certainly, maybe not dominate the day, but it will be, I think, a big factor of the day, which is interesting. You're right. Usually you see the front engine, like the Merc, for example. I would figure the Merc would be the choice car for Road America. That wasn't even true for the finale here, and we can talk more about the finale here as well, because we have point standings, actually, from last season in the North American Racing League. We can see how it all sorted out. Pedro de Oliveira for Full-Time Esports, Tony Kanaan's team, goes and grabs the championship by a long shot over Bryce Rodriguez, Brian DeVries, Kevin Sandiego. Again, what I thought I would see in this event was more Mercedes. I can tell you, Pedro stuck with the Ferrari. Bryce Rodriguez, I believe, went to a Ferrari for this race as well. He usually runs the Lambo. Brian DeVries, they all really stayed away from the Mercedes. That's not what I expected.
No, not at all. And of course, sometimes it's just a personal choice. Sometimes drivers, and I know I'm definitely one of these drivers, I don't get on with mid-engine cars, for example. I would always steer towards something else. But other drivers may well have a different opinion to that. And it's not just about how fast the car is over one lap. It's about how comfortable you are in it over, a full stint, and here at a 1 hour race. So drivability, in a way, is just as important when it comes to car choice as outright speed is.
You can see amateur points up for you now. William Coffey grabbed that championship despite going winless in Season 2 of NARL GT3 action. You can see the rest of the guys, how Paolo Ferretti fitted into 4th place. Mike Braun got a win, finished 5th in the standings. Brian Long there, top 10 as well. I see Dom in the top 10. Good to see Dom. Dominic Angelicchio with that top 10 in the points, and a few other drivers. Now, we won't see too many of these guys, unfortunately, but these are some of the names that you can get used to with North American Racing League competition. If you're one of the streamers fans that's tuning in potentially today and you want to get more involved with these guys, these are some of the other names that you can expect over the course of racing throughout, well, the rest of 2022 while we have more North American Racing League action. We'll steer away from that for a moment. We'll talk more about that post-race, but qualifying is now underway and a few drivers are getting out there. I want to start off with each streamer. We're going to start off then with Samsoid. We've not gotten a look at his Audi yet, but hey, there you go. Tony Kanaan in an Audi, Samsoid in an Audi. I guess it works out.
Yeah, looks to be the case, doesn't it? And here you can see him coming across the start-finish line onto his first flying lap then. And these early moments in the session are so important. You've got to get the tyre temperature up, get the pressures up in the brakes as well, so that when you do go onto your first full flying lap, as he's doing now, you've got that confidence to carry the speed through the corners. It's a long lap here as well, so they don't get many bites of the cherry. They've got to be on it right from the word go. Don't miss an apex, don't lock up, and don't go off track and invalidate the lap. You don't get that many goes at this.
Samson works down. He'll go down to turn number 5. I do want to go to another streamer, of course, Matt Malone in a Ferrari. And this feels like a more standard car choice, I feel like. If you're not going to go for a track-specific car, you definitely go for the Ferrari right now in iRacing. It just seems to be the most balanced car, the car that's easiest to get the most out of as well. Matt Malone, obviously, in that Ferrari. I mean, there's not a whole lot else to say about it other than the new rebrand for Matt Malone. You can see the stars and stripes adorning that Ferrari 488 and the new logo on the side. Tam Liveries, who is one of our partners here at the North American Racing League, also designed that Streamer Championship logo on the footer. Just a fantastic job on this paint.
That car looks good. I mean, I'm always a fan of anything Italian, to be honest, and Italian GT cars are no different, but that one with the US twist of the livery, that looks fantastic, and he's driving it well on this lap by the looks of it. Looks like a nice, smooth lap. I agree with what you say about the Ferrari as well. It is probably one of the more drivable cars out there, and you need that drivability to really carry the corner speed through, particularly this section, out of the carousel, through the kink, and Matt looking to use that to his advantage right now.
That's Canada corner then, and just so nice and poised. A little bobble on exit, but I think that just proves that he's going fast here on his first qualifying lap. Here's a look at Love 46, and again, this is a name that I'm so very sorry, but I have not got a shot to pronounce. We can go ahead and pull up the full name here. If we, not that one, we will go ahead and pull this up. You want to try that one, Andy?
Oh, I was waiting for you to say that. I'm going to take a stab at this and go with Lyubov Ozaretskovskova. Maybe. I annihilated that.
That's a lot closer than I could get. That's much closer than I can get. I do want to mention that she has had quite a successful, quite a storied, well, maybe not storied, but quite a successful career in racing. And she's got her helmet next to her streaming setup that she kind of shows off from time to time. And she went Formula Russia racing, Formula 4 racing as well. And I think much like Daniel Morad in this case, where Daniel Morad's got a lot of IMSA experience, she actually brings something to the table in that regard. A lot of these guys, usually streamers, are streamers, right? They start out as gamers and they kind of move on up and obviously onto iRacing and go from there. She's a bit different. She's a bit more like Daniel Morad. She's got that real racing experience and she brings that to the table along with her entire team. I'm really looking forward to seeing how she actually sorts out against the rest of the competition. First lap out, 8th quick as well. I mean, you can't argue with that.
No, that's a decent speed, actually. You can see about 3/10 or so off the pole position, but that's a good sighter lap, isn't it? That's the first attempt. You get one clean lap in, and then you really start to build the speed up from there. There's no point going, straight to 100% and making a mistake. Get that early lap in and, try and beat it through the second half of the session.
That said, we do have the one, the only Daniel Morad out there, already fastest, in fact, just ahead of two of his other drivers, including Suelia Almeida. And look at that, Tony Kanaan already top 5 in qualifying. Yeah, the guy drives race cars for a reason. But Daniel Morad just brings so much to the table here. has IMSA experience, be it at whatever level, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, doesn't matter. The guy's got some race car experience, knows how to get around Road America, for example, as well. And I mean, it's going to be hard to argue with this number 70 as he brings especially all of the coaching talent to the table. He coaches a lot of these drivers in NARL very regularly. And bringing then, I mean, he's got an eye for talent, obviously. If he's a coach, he's got an eye for talent, brings a lot of really good talent into this one. It's going to be tough to beat Moradness.
Yeah, certainly looking at these early times, I mean, they've got the top 3 positions at the moment. They've also got the highest collective iRating of all of the 7 teams. Now, I know iRating is only part of the story, but yeah, everything is sort of leaning towards them being the benchmark for everyone else, isn't it?
Certainly. One guy who's going to have to try and change that narrative is Balkan. Slaven Prusina, which is what we're going with for the pronunciation, I hope. Balkan is looking pretty good, and he was talking earlier about the car choice. I tuned into his stream there for just a moment, getting ready for this broadcast, and again, I'm so interested by the option to go for all the Lamborghinis on this team, but I like it. I like the cohesion there. They're able to work together as a team. They were practicing earlier on. I'm sure they practiced all week for this. They are ready for this event. Maybe a little bit off for now, but there's a whole 60-minute race and pit stops to go through, so that second off right now, I think, is nothing to worry about for Balkan. He gets his qualifying time, and we talked about Matt Malone. Let's go on down the line then. I just saw him, and I think he went faster. Dave Cameron is out there, just laid down a heater. In a Porsche, it is now up to 13th.
That does not surprise me one bit. I've watched quite a bit of Dave Cam's stuff online. He loves a sort of classic car with a bit of heritage, bit of history behind it, and it doesn't get more like that than Porsche, does it? There is so much history behind this brand, and it's a completely different design philosophy from any other car out there on the grid. Rear-engined, all of that weight over the rear axle, a completely different driving style required, but it can be quite oversteering, again, for a driver that enjoys driving classic cars that don't have all of these driver aids like traction control and ABS. That's probably right up his street, so yeah, not surprised at all to see him out there in the Porsche.
Yeah, me either. It feels like a Dave Cam car, and he's looking pretty good as well. Only a half second off. That's really solid, I feel like, and we'll see how he can do here in qualifying. If he goes any faster the second lap, I don't know nearly as much about Dave Cam, but he really does just feel like a Porsche kind of guy, and with a car that has to be driven completely differently, it works. You mentioned the different building philosophies he's actually going to bring into the pit lane. It really is a car that you have to drive completely differently as well. It doesn't drive like anything else that you could possibly imagine as, my goodness, Giuliano Romagnolo, third. It's a Moradness top 4.
Yeah, they are looking impressive. This another one of the Porsches, though. That's interesting. So we've got a mix of Lamborghinis, Porsches. You've got Canaan in the Audi up there. So yeah, maybe we're not going to see quite the same level of dominance from one brand that we expected. But a top 4 lockout, that just opens them up to playing the strategy game. You know, the cars at the front, Murad, for example, Fialo, they've got rear gunners now to defend from the rest of the field. They are looking tough to beat today.
And of course, we do have the one, the only Dan Suzuki out here as well. So I think that's all 7 now. We got Daniel Morad, we got, I know we got Sam Soyden, we got Matt Malone. I think we've gotten through them all as we have Dan Suzuki on screen finishing up his qualifying effort. He may have just finished his second lap, actually his third lap. He is done now. He is on his 4th lap. This is his cool down. So he will start, it looks like, 25th, and I don't think that's going to change here with 8 seconds to go. Well, it has just changed. He's now 26th.
Yeah, there you go. You see still some people out there pushing hard then and improving towards the end of the session. But yeah, that was an interesting session. I have to say, as much as it's been it does look like we've got one team that are dominating, the other teams aren't far behind. It was another really close session, that, wasn't it? With only half a second covering the top 10 or so. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we could see someone breaking through those defences at the front, and hopefully we'll see some close competition up and down the field.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the closest races we have of 50 cars. I don't know how we went out there and scoped this kind of talent to fit within a 50-car field, but props to whoever, to each of the teams, I guess, for scoping out this talent. Seriously, props. This is going to be a good race. We have got 50 some odd drivers. Let's go ahead and roll through them then. Starting on pole, it's hard to argue with this combination. Daniel Morad and Dion Fialo up front, both from Moradness, and let's go ahead and go through the top 4 then. Right there. Giuliano Romagnolo, Suelia Almeida, they are all Madness drivers. They lock out the top 4 here in qualifying at Road America, and like you said, will be able to control this race and get the rest of their teammates up to the front, I'm sure, without too much issue. They just seem so good right now. Starting 5th, though, we do have the one, the only, Tony Kanaan, starting 5th. Also, again, how do you argue with him? And he's out here racing for himself. We have been told by Scott Reister, who runs this whole shebang, he is not racing for Samsoid this time around, which is very interesting to just kind of have that wild card thrown into the field. Literally a wild card, with Anders Ankerson starting in the 6th spot. Starting 7th today here at Road America, we've got Neil Bledsoe. Tommy Wild rolls off in 8th, and rounding out the top 10 here, Andy, it is Love 46. Really good starting spot alongside Bruno Carnero.
Yeah, that looks like maybe they're going to be looking to move forward here at the start. Yannick Moorman is next there, ahead of Owen Carroll on the next row of the grid, 6th row of the grid. And now we're getting into that danger zone, aren't we? Right in the midfield where things can sometimes go wrong. Brian Pickman's there with Dave Cameron, so the Porsche down there 14th. We've got a Porsche on the front row, a couple of Porsches actually inside the top 10, but Dave Cam not one of them. And then, the further back you start on this grid, Andrew, the more chance there is you're going to end up tripping over someone at the start. Everyone's going to be barreling down into that first corner off a rolling start. It's a difficult enough corner to pick your braking point for on your own, let alone when you're 2 and 3 wide on the first lap of the race.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know that I can add to that, really. And that just kind of sums it up in a whole. We do see 15th place starting spot, Marie Hrushka. I do remember that name from the first go-around of this event. Tyson Meyer in 16th still has to be very interested in seeing how Quirk does today. Starting 17th will be Riley Dickinson in the number 53. Samsoid rolls off 18th. Starting 19th, it's going to be none other than the 32 of Matt Loveridge, and starting 20th, round out your top 20, is Michael Kotab, I believe. I mean, I know it's got the accent mark over the A, but we'll roll with it. 21st, Craig Martin. 22nd, David Hicks. We'll kind of roll on through here. One name to keep in mind, 24th starting spot, Matt Malone. A little bit lower than I would have expected for Matt, to be entirely honest, but he's got his pros doing some big work up in the front, and we'll see what he can do. Starting further back in the field, 25th. That's where you find Balkan. Same story there. Thankfully, I think Tyson Meyer brings a lot to the table in this race. 5th in practice. I wouldn't be surprised if Quirk gets up there pretty quick. Dan Suzuki starts alongside 26th. So you have Matt Malone, Balkan, and Dan Suzuki 24th, 25th, 26th in the starting order.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see Dan that far down. I wonder if he had an issue in qualifying, maybe had a lap time disallowed or something, because you'd expect him to be up there near the likes of Love 46, wouldn't you? Up towards the top 10. So he is going to be on a mission here to gain time in the early stages. Further down the order here, Drew Bickle and Stevie Marshall sharing that next row of the grid, well outside the top 30 though. And again, the progress they can make early on is going to help them an awful lot. James Fawkes and Hugo Artie ahead of Ian Carter and James Davidson. And we are still not even into the last 5 rows of the grid.
Yeah, finally we get down here to wrap up the top 40. I do know that Violet Alexandra Miller, if I recall, right? That seems to be right. The number 500, that is one of the Love 46 drivers. I recognize some of these names from the entry list. It's going to take a moment, and please do work with us there. Rolling back to 41st, you've got Simon, joined by a Daniel. We got a Magnus in 43rd, another Daniel in 44th. The field just kind of works on. We do have a proper field of 50 drivers. Here in a moment, you will see the one Scott Reister on the starting order. He is not in this race. Also, Xavier Jackson here in the 52 car. He is a late add for Samsoid. You will see his number as opposed to the Samsoid logo. Do keep that one in mind. He is out there competing for Samsoid. There's Scott Reister. He's not in this race. He is around as well. A league owner does. And it's kind of just how that works. Rolling back on through, David Moore, the last car on the starting grid out of 50 total that are going to be starting this race, and everybody works in a Canada corner. 50 cars with their headlights on tends to wreak havoc. Sometimes you can see we'll have a slightly framey start to get this rolling, and we'll be on without too much issue. I see a lot of that red and black up front. not at all surprised. Daniel Morad is bringing a lot of heat to this field as we work through Canada Corner and Bill Mitchell Bend to get us going. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today at Pit Stop TV. Really, really do appreciate all the attention with this event. The North American Racing League put some great stuff together, and we are about to see it all get going. Green flag. Andy, I want to thank you for joining me today on such short notice as well. Glad to have you here as we work out of turn number 14. Daniel Morad brings us to the green, and the top streamer of the day has this field rolling to turn 1. Some odd cars come on through the front stretch, and already it seems like most of the field is pretty safe through the first couple of corners. I don't see too many issues, and Morad obviously is safe at the rear end. He's got 4 cars lined up to control this field. I mean, zero worries here to turn 5.
If you'd have told me we were going to get all 50 of them through the first 2 corners and no one would end up pointing the wrong way, I never would have believed you. That was really, really well-behaved driving from everyone. For the most part, getting single file by the time they got into turn 1, certainly by the time they got down to turn 3. Everyone really just being very careful. On board here with David Moore in the Ferrari, who started right at the back, picked up a couple of positions already, and you can see he's going to try maybe and outbrake the car in front. Actually, no, ends up losing another position, under braking there into turn number 5. A couple of cars running wide though. One of the Maradness Porsches was wide as well. So you gain some, you lose some, you gain some more. It is all happening here in the early laps.
But the important thing is, this is 49th, 50th position, and finally there's a crash. It looks like Daniel Dennison with problems. It's an Audi for Dave Cam, and he has spun here in turn 7. That is the first accident we've seen. We went straight to the back of the field because there had been no accidents. Another one is happening, though, in the midfield. Yannick Mormon has just spun. We've got problems. Yannick, thankfully that McLaren is off in the barriers. I think the rest of the field will get by mostly okay. And I see no other cars stopped, just Yannick Mormon. Daniel Dennison was at Audi for the back. Yaz Samai gets on through, Aaron Jackson as well. Really, it's just Yannick and Daniel that have problems on this first lap here at Road America. Impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, and that was coming out of the carousel, I think, wasn't it? Which is always a tricky corner on cold tyres. You're asking a lot of those left-hand side tyres, especially the rear left, to keep the grip. And once it gets sideways, especially that McLaren, it can be a little bit tricky to get it back. But so far, so good at the front for Maradness. On board with Tony Kanaan, speed building towards 150 miles an hour as he crests the hill at the end of the opening lap, trying now to spot that braking point down at turn 1. You can see he has held position from the start then, and he's very much going with those leaders, isn't he? So he's got the speed, but can he find a way past them?
I'd imagine his paint should update here in a moment. Again, that is not quite the paint meant for that car. I think it's pulling a paint from a different driver. 50 cars will do that to you, especially on a weekend where we had the Daytona Roar. Sometimes trading paints gets a little bit behind on the uptake and has those kinds of issues. So we apologize there if any paints are wrong. We have refreshed this. Morad leads on down to turn 5, 2 Lambos and 2 Porsches alike. And here we go. A challenge from one of the Dan Suzuki drivers up the inside of the Dave Cam machine of Tommy DeWild. No, Tommy DeWild is the Audi that's challenging here for Dan Suzuki. That's Anders Ankerson who's defending for Dave Cam. That's around turn 6.
Yeah, and these are both the leading drivers for their respective teams, side by side through turn 7. That's a really risky place to be, and it opens the door, doesn't it, for Carnero there behind, on board with him as we drop down into the braking point at turn 8, and now he is on the outside line, gets good traction though. That's where the Porsche excels, isn't it? That good traction from the rear engine car out of the tight corners, and he is able to make the move up into 7th place.
I do enjoy seeing Bruno Carnero in the field. I've had experience with him previously, and in fact, we've had experience at Pit Stop TV with him in other leagues, most notably the International Online Racing League with not GT3 action, IndyCar action as 1 car's around, 2 cars are around. That's a massive flip. That, I think, was Anders Ankerson flipping through the air, and Tommy DeWild went along with. I'm trying to get a hold of Tommy DeWild. That's a massive one. That's a big crash.
Yeah, you don't usually have a small crash at the kink, do you? It's such a fast corner. We're going to see a replay here, I think, of what happened. And were they side by side, I wonder? You don't want to be running side by side through there on the early laps while they were single file further back. This was Tommy Wilde coming out of the carousel up towards the kink. And all hell is about to break loose in front of him. Through the right-hander he goes. Someone loses it on their own and just nowhere to go.
And that was the Porsche of Anders Ankerson. Yeah, I believe. That's the underside of Road America. Oh my goodness, and one of the Balkan Lambos came flying in there and crashed as well. I wonder if we can find exactly who that was, potentially. It's going to be a challenge, but we can try. Oh my goodness, look at the action. This is all replay still. This is everything that happened behind all of this. Let's see if we can find out exactly who that is. Well, that's one of the Malone machines of Stevie Marshall.
Right, okay, so Marshall's in the pit lane as well. That was the world's longest accident, wasn't it? And
It really
we see
was.
this in real life sometimes at Road America at that part of the circuit because it is a blind corner, the kink, and even the run down to Canada corner, you can't always see what's coming. This was Sampson's view, car to the right, car to the left. He misses the first one there, and behind, that was the contact that sent the Lamborghini into the road. And when that car comes bouncing back into the road, Andrew,
Oh
you
my
know
gosh.
it's going to collect a few others.
Wow. Our social team will have a few good crashes to get pictures of, that's for sure, and video. Look at that! The Lambo almost flipping into the camera there. Obviously, that's tragedy for a lot of teams, a lot of drivers back there, but that is just spectacular to watch.
Yeah, you don't like to see accidents, but when they're as spectacular as that one, they
You don't
certainly
mind it
catch
as
your
much,
attention. No, and of course, everyone okay, because this is sim racing, and that is one of the joys of this sport, isn't it? Back with the leaders, though, things are a little bit calmer up here, aren't they? The top five really breaking away now.
And I'm going to be honest with you, we might see a bit of this when we get down to Porsche Cup time. We haven't talked about it yet today, but we will talk about it before the day is over. We've got a Porsche Cup season coming up with this North American Racing League. We won't talk about the schedule just yet, but I think when we get there, I know that Giuliano and Swelio are both registered, at least I do believe. Swelio Almeida should be, at the very least. Both of these guys should be. I've got experience with them from Porsche Canada, but regardless, I know these two should be in the field. I expect to see more of this, especially if Morad ends up running and if Fiallo is in it. If these guys run the Porsche Cup season, especially with two of these guys already opting for Porsches in Giuliano Romagnolo and Dion Fiallo, I think we'll see a lot more of this Moradness up front when we get down to season time. There are some battles throughout the field. I want to catch up on those as Matt Malone has actually just been passed, and look at this gaggle down to turn one. There's one of the Moradness BMWs, and Matt Malone is in battle with him. That's a 35 of David Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks round the outside through turn one. That's a tough place to be, but that BMW looks pretty racy at this early stage. He's not going to have it that easy. Ferrari dives back up the inside. Brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing here. It's a lot easier to do that through these tighter corners at the start of the lap than it is through the carousel and the kink later on. Now, though, it's a battle of horsepower down the straight towards the braking zone at turn 5. The BMW, for me, looks a little bit stronger. And yeah, the Ferrari, carrying damage, of course, is losing time down the straights.
Yeah, Matt Malone headed backwards quick. That right rear damage, really rear bumper damage as a whole. He might have been hit in all of that melee or potentially even been turned around and back into the wall. He's got a challenge up the inside from Teague Ashburn right now in that Mercedes. So we do have a Mercedes in the field. Good to see that at the very least. That is for Samsoid Esports as Teague now works the left side. That's the better line into turn 8.
Yeah, it is. He's got the inside line now, and when you know you're battling against a car that's wounded and carrying damage, you just want to get past it as soon as you can, but Matt Malone is not letting him have this place, is he? He's got the inside through the carousel, and even carrying all of that damage. That is definitely the line you want to be on. Out towards the king because he got him cleared. No, he hasn't. There's the grunt from the Mercedes, and he sweeps back through before the kink, but that was quite costly there, wasn't it? Battling with a car that was clearly off the pace has cost him a good couple of seconds.
And that was for 25th as well. So Malone now drops to 26th. And that's going to be a challenge then for Matt Malone. You don't see any of those logos towards the top, unfortunately. You do see a couple of Love 46 logos up in the top 10, a couple of Samsoid drivers, a Balkan driver, and Tyson Meyer. But it really is Moradness up there easily with the advantage right now. And the rest of this field is going to have to rely on pit stops, I think. Pit stops and incidents. I don't know that you go up there and catch any of those guys controlling this field. And now we see Matt Malone coming out of the pit lane. This is disaster right now for the number 10.
Yeah, it is, and I suspect this is going to be too early to turn this into his one and only pit stop, isn't it?
Yeah, 50% fuel limit. This is not what you want if you're Matt Malone. Absolutely not. This is, I don't know any other way to put it other than disaster right now for his race, and he'll get some damage repaired, and obviously you get back out there, right? The race is not over. May as well take fuel here, see what you can do with it. the race is not over for Matt Malone and the team as a whole, but it is certainly handicapped at this point in time. Tony Kanaan is still hanging on to these guys up ahead, still doing a fantastic job here on his own. And that's why we've got him just a smiling face up there in 5th place as he follows the Daniel Morad Esports, Moradness grouping. The first driver not for Daniel Morad or Tony Kanaan, that's Owen Carroll right now for Samsoid, a late addition as well. We got word of Owen Carroll joining the lineup yesterday, and what a good move that was.
Yeah, he's doing really well, isn't it? He's taking Carnero with him, and if these two are sensible, they'll work together a little bit here. There's not much point in them fighting tooth and nail for this 6th position. They're, 4 seconds or so behind Kanaan in 5th. If they don't fight and they just work together, maybe use a bit of the slipstream as well, they could catch the leaders, especially if Kanaan starts to mix it up with some of those Moradness drivers at the front. So, it's a long race with only 10 minutes in. For now, if I were these two drivers, I wouldn't be fighting too hard at this stage.
If they start to battle, the good news here for Owen Carroll is that Brian Pigmans is not too far behind, also for Samsoid. And now he is bringing Tyson Meyer and Love 46 along with. But if Owen Carroll and Brian Pigmans can link together, they can start to work away from these guys. You're a NASCAR fan. You know about the tandem draft. They can do about the same thing.
Tell you what, I'd love to see them do the tandem draft around Road America. That would be exciting, and probably wouldn't end that well. But I joke about that. These straights are long enough that you can do that. It is all about momentum, though, and as soon as you start running side by side with each other, especially through that middle sector, you're just going to lose so much time. On board with Love 46, then down through turn 3. Good little battle ahead here between Pigmans and Meyer, and Love 46 will be looking to join in with that. We're going to see a move from Meyer maybe at the end of the straight. The Lamborghini is in the slipstream of the BMW. Is it going to go to the inside? I don't think that Meyer's quite close enough, but look at how much Love 46 closes on the brakes. That was a good corner.
Yeah, I talked about her Formula Russia and Formula 4 experience. I didn't exactly know when I made that comment exactly how good she would be doing, but, this is a proper good race from her. They do have a lap car just ahead. That is Lamborghini, as we can confirm Carnero has gone on by Owen Carroll. Let's just keep watching this, I think, from Love 46's perspective. This is just fun to watch onboards and see how they navigate these kinds of obstacles.
Yeah, I do enjoy watching these onboards, actually. I like sort of thinking, what would I do in this situation? And, the answer to that is I'd be 20 seconds further down the road, probably. But she's really trying to just hang back that little bit and build a bit of momentum. When those two start going side by side, that's her chance to join in. And this back marker is not exactly getting out of their way, is it?
No, we'll go up to Tyson Meyer's perspective now. Finally, that Lambo is out of the way. Who exactly was that? That was not Love 46. This is the 15 car, and he is actually stopping. Jake Ward, I think, has been shown the blue flag and instructed to move on out of the way. Canada corner. You know what? As one car is off. That is, who? Was that James Davidson? Potentially. Or it was Riley Dickinson. I think it was Riley Dickinson, yes, for Moradness. That 53 Lambo is off pace and now gets back going. What I do want to mention, though, about Jake Ward, usually I will always advocate against just getting out of the racing line and stopping, because that oftentimes leads to more issues than it solves. But that time, he made it work. He got stopped and then got rolling before Apex. A lot of times when drivers do that, they stop on the Apex too, and that's when problems arise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always difficult, isn't it, for the car that's lapping you as well to predict where you're going. Got another issue here. This is David Moore in the Ferrari. That's down at Canada Corner. That's a popular place to go off at the moment, isn't it? It's a difficult little corner to get right, and I don't know whether he had some assistance there, but he's been off the road in the number 88. But yeah, back to the back markers. If they start suddenly weaving this way and that to get out of the way, then you've got no idea where they're going to go. So just stick to the racing line and let the faster car make the overtake. That's the safer way of doing it.
Speaking of overtakes, Tyson Meyer up the inside at turn 5, now crossed back over by Brian Pigmans. Oh my goodness, so close right there in turn 6. These are the kind of battles you love at Road America, where you're able to go back and forth. One driver makes a pass, then the other driver gets it back, potentially, or at least gets alongside. And now Love 46 has a grand opportunity between turns 8 and 9, maybe in the carousel, to try and get this pass made. This would be good enough for 9th if she can do it.
Yeah, she looks quicker than these two cars, actually, but I'll be interested to see, now that Meyer has got past Pigmans, whether he can pull away as well. And then Dave Cameron, look, is catching the lot of them. So Dave Cam taking full advantage of them holding each other up in front. He is representing his team well at the moment as well, isn't he, Dave? He's by far the highest up the field. I think 23rd for Amri is the next Dave Cam car. So he's flying solo a bit, but doing really well. And he can see the top 10 right in front of him, closes under braking. This is getting tight.
I think the best idea for him is to wait for Love 46 to get side by side with Pigmans here and then try and go up and follow whichever one has the best momentum on a straightaway potentially. Wait for an opening and try and take that opportunity. Maybe even go for 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 if he can get Quirketize as well. Now, again, Tyson Meyer, Quirketize as he's known on Twitch, he is not racing for himself. He is racing for Balkan, which is so interesting to me that he's here racing for a different streamer. I just didn't expect that, but it is cool to see his Love 46. Oh, gonna move. Brian Pigman's off the racing line. That has been a small miscommunication, right, I think, into the braking zone.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty, was it? And unfortunately for Brian, he's going to lose a lot of positions. This early in the race, everyone's so close together. He's been in the wall as well, hasn't he? So there's real damage done to the BMW.
That car
That's a shame. I was enjoying seeing the BMW up there doing well.
And yeah, it was the highest running of the BMWs from what I can recall. I don't recall Owen Carroll's car choice. I guess we can check that. The number 012 at Lambo is, this is a good battle. Owen Carroll and Bruno Carnero, they have not separated. This is for 6th and 7th. You know how we said they should link up and work together? I don't think they've received the message on that one.
Yeah, but what do we know? We're commentators, not racing drivers, and our instinct to sit and not take any risks clearly isn't being shared by these drivers, is it? But Owen Carroll almost getting alongside there, couldn't quite make the move stick. They also have a back-marking Lamborghini ahead as well. So the frustration here, though, is that they're not that much slower than the leaders. They've lost about a second, I think, since we last checked in with them. So I still believe that if they work together, that would benefit them, but they clearly don't agree.
That Lambo lets them go on by, and that is Simon. I don't want to mess up the last name too badly, but we'll just call him Simon right now in a Lambo for Dan Suzuki. It has not been a good day for reigning champion Dan Suzuki. Much like Dave Cam, I think, kind of just, I think, lackluster. And it really has been spurred on by the incidents that we saw right at the start. Well, I guess maybe not right at the start, but lap 2. Problems down that straightaway between the kink and Canada corner. It has not gone well.
No, and you hate to see it so early in a long race, don't you? Because drivers like Simon got Brock Mays here in the pit lane, perhaps going no further. You know, for them, this now becomes just an hour's test session, really, and it's a fixed setup race as well. It's not even like you can learn anything about setups out there. When your race goes wrong, then that's pretty much it, and I'm not surprised to see a few of them still in the pit lane, maybe getting some repairs made, but more than likely just watching to see how their teammates are getting on out on track.
Yeah, that was Xavier Jackson in the pit lane as well, in that Audi. The Red Bull livery on that is for Samsoid. So, yeah, it really has not gone well for anybody other than Muradness. I mean, it hasn't. I hate to keep hyping up Muradness over anybody else, but it really has not been a good day for anyone else right now. It's kind of staggering how this event has gone. Balkan only has the... You know what? You know who it is going okay for? Love 46. The two newest streamers to this field are doing pretty good. You see 2 Love 46 drivers in the top 10, Bruno Carnero and Love 46 herself. I don't see any other multiple drivers of any team in the top 10 at all. I mean, you've just got Daniel Morad, and that's about it. This is really staggering, honestly.
Speaking of Daniel Morad, he was leading, I think, the last time I looked. He's down to second now, so we have had a bit of a change. You can see there the Porsche of Fialo is ahead now. I was about to pose the question, do you think these Muradness teammates at some point will get bored of following each other around and playing the team game, and will they start mixing it up? Whoops, speaking of mixing it up, we've got the 27 car pointing the wrong way. That's Santiago Lieb, who does a nice turn there. Don't gas it up on the grass. Yep, well done. Back on the road, a little bit of damage, but at least not the end of the day. Neil Bledsoe is off as well. It's all going on in the midfield. But I wonder how long these Muradness cars are willing to work together.
Did you see that? That's Simon again in the outskirts of the carousel. This has not gone well in the midfield at all, has it? But as far as the Muradness guys working together, I think they won't take too many chances, especially with Tony Kanaan breathing down their necks, because I'm sure they'd all like to beat him. But I'm sure we'll see a bit of racing towards the end of this one. Hopefully no contact between them. That would be obviously the last thing you want to see for these 4 teammates. But You may also, obviously, we don't have to worry about them stacking the box like in F1, but you might want to only pit 2 at a time here. When you have a field of 4 coming down the pit lane at the same time, and they're all together like this, that could be disastrous.
Yeah, that's a point. And because of this reduced fuel capacity that they're allowed, they're all going to have to pit within a lap or so of each other. You can't spread them out. You know, normally you'd have one of them pit on one lap, another come in the next time and spread it out over 3 or 4 laps. That's not really going to be an option for them. So that will take a little bit of orchestration, and yeah, it would be a little bit embarrassing if that were to go wrong. On board with Almeida in 4th, though, and for now, yeah, happy to run in line, I think.
They're doing a great job of it. I mean, they have hit their marks for 20 minutes now, and that's not including practice or qualifying. This has just been a masterclass, truthfully, by Maradness. I've never seen this kind of domination in a team event like this, where you have multiple cars for each team. This has been really good stuff, and I don't think anyone can argue that point either. I think that's just a point, and it's just they have done really well. Flashing back here outside the top 5, Owen Carroll has that spot back now from Bruno Carnero. So Love 46 losing a couple of points there. And that's the thing you have to keep in mind of this team event is each position is points. And it's not just a matter of averages or finishing position. Each position is points, and they're scored a little bit differently. It's not like it's 1 point per position. They have a bit different weights. I think it's roughly close to 1 point per position. Hang on. 1 point per position. There we go. It's close to that, but I don't believe that it's exactly 1 point per position. So the way things are weighted, it really means you have to push the entire race.
Yeah, it's certainly not a big difference, is it, between each position? So to gain a big chunk of points, you have to gain a big chunk of positions, and as competitive as this grid is, that's just not going to be easy to do. Matt Loveridge here in the Audi, turning into turn number 14. That's an important corner on this track. You need to get off that corner well, because you don't touch the brakes again for a good while longer, right the way up the hill, across the start-finish line. He's maybe weaving around a little bit there. He's got Hrushka behind him, the Lamborghini, trying to close in and succeeding in closing in, actually using that slipstream well.
You can see the gap ahead now from Hrushka to Loveridge, just slimming that tiny little bit. You know, down to a 10th at the braking zone and then opens back up a little bit. The thing you have to keep in mind with the draft, especially here at Road America, is if you're going faster, well, you're going faster. So when you get to the braking zone, you're carrying more speed into that braking zone, and you have to brake a little bit harder, maybe a little bit earlier. And you just have to be careful with that. I do also want to mention, we see the BSR TV crew finally checking in. Yeah, Andy McEwen on the mic. This is different.
There's no escaping me these days, be it on the track or in the commentary box. But hey, I'm in my winter hibernation at the moment. I've got no real world motorsport to commentate on. So any chance I get to talk about racing cars, I'm going to jump at it.
Yeah, maybe if we get, if we can convince Scott Reister and the NARL to go to Alton Park at some point, we'll have to bring you along for that one, huh?
Oh, that is the greatest racetrack in the world, and it's only 20 minutes from my house, so I would be more than happy to do that for you.
You know, I think there's a bit of bias there when you're close to a racetrack. I'm pretty close to Charlotte, and I think pretty highly of it, too, so I don't know. Anyways, still on board here with Marie Hrushka for Dan Suzuki. I think the shining star right now of that team as well, that isn't named Dan Suzuki, because Dan is right behind her, some 3 seconds back in 13th. So not too bad for Dan overall, I guess, as a driver, but the team is struggling just a bit. Really, it's these two highlights in Marie Hrushka and Dan Suzuki, and then a lot of incidents that have really mired them further back.
Has gained quite a few places, though. I forget exactly where he started, but I think it was near the back of the top 30, so he's benefited a bit from some of the early drama, hasn't he? You can see 13th, actually, so he really has picked up some places. There he is, heading up through the penultimate turn at turn 13. Little bit of pressure, but yeah, started 28th on the grid, so 23 and a bit minutes, and he's picked up 15 places or so. That's a good effort.
Yeah, 26th to 13th. That's huge. That is half of the deficit to the lead that he's made up now. Maybe not deficit, maybe that's not the right word, but half of the setback maybe, I'm not sure. One thing he has to be careful of, though, we talked about the way these guys started earlier on, Dan Suzuki, David Sampson, and Slaven Brusina. Of course, Dan Suzuki, Samsoid, and Balkan, they are still in a line. 13th, 14th, and 15th. The three Pioneer streamers for each of their team in line again, albeit a bit more spread out. You can see Balkan has fallen off just a little bit, 2.5 seconds up to Samsoid, and you know what, Samsoid and Suzuki could be a nice little battle here.
That is exactly what I spoke about at the top of the broadcast. It's this rivalry between the streamers. The teams going together is one thing, but to see the streamers themselves going wheel to wheel on track, that's what this event's all about.
Viewers, you may have heard at that time at a turn 5, we're going to stay on board with Samsoid. This is very important, and I got a message about it a few moments ago about Tony Kanaan doing the same thing. A lot of these guys are clutching into the corners. Does he do it here? Yes. Watch the RPMs. That wasn't a great example of it. It's more audible than anything. So when we get down to Canada Corner, I will shut up and let you guys listen to this. This is very, very important. A lot of these cars, a lot of these drivers are realizing how close fuel is. It's 50% in an hour race. GT cars are made to go an hour on fuel. When you cut that in half, that's a half hour. That's 2 half hours. If you are off by any little bit, you are short on fuel all of a sudden. Let's shut up. Let's listen to these guys down to Canada Corner. Clutch in. Through gears. Just that little bit, it's hard to explain exactly how it sounds, Andy, but you know it when you hear it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a little tiny bit at every big braking point, but it adds up, doesn't it, over a 30-minute stint. So I'll tell you what, if they're doing that now, and they've been doing it... Oh, hang on, Samson's coming in.
Uh-oh.
That's interesting, if he has been saving fuel.
Dave Cam is also
maybe not
in.
enough.
This is very interesting.
So is this because they're running out of fuel, or because they're confident that they can now get to the end? If they think they're in the fuel window, then this could be planned, but I'd say this is early.
This is very early. I mean, this is 2 laps early. A lap here is 2 minutes and a little bit of change. This is 4 minutes to halfway. This is very early for Dave Cam and Samsoid. The fact that it's 2 of our streamers pitting ahead of most of the rest is very, very interesting. A few other drivers have pitted, but not very recently. Brian Pigmans did recently pit, I suppose. He's down in 34th now. Ian Carter as well, relatively recently. Simon is in the pit lane as well, but I don't think that's for a strategy stop. More cars coming in the pit lane. That is Santiago Lieb back there in the Lamborghini. Here comes one of the other Dave Cam machines in Michael Kotab, I believe. Yes. Aaron Jackson goes on by. Matt Malone goes on by. Magnus Danielson is in for fuel. David Moore is in for fuel.
I'm intrigued to see how this is going to work out, and we won't know for another half an hour whether this was the right call or the wrong call. If they're confident that they can save 3 minutes of fuel in this second stint, then maybe it's a bit of an undercut that they've gone from. They've got themselves into that window where they can make it to the end, and then they want to get in, stick some fresh tyres on, get into some clean air and go. But it is a big, big risk, this. The every minute longer that you have to stretch that tank of fuel, you're risking not getting to the end at all.
So we have Samsoid back on the racetrack after his pit stop. You can see the pit times there, clutching again into the corner. This is turn 5, clutching again, just a little bit more. 25 seconds in the box. So the time on the left is the pit lane time overall. The time on the right is the pit box timer. So it's 57 seconds on the lane as a whole for Samson, 25 in the box. How does that compare then to Dave Cam? If we can find Dave out here, just a little bit longer. That 1 extra second in the box, but faster on the pit lane as a whole. That is very interesting, and that actually spells very, very nicely for Dave Cameron. More time in the box means more fuel. Less time on the pit lane, obviously, is faster. The other interesting part of all of this, Samsoid did sort out right behind Matt Malone.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? So Matt Malone is going to have to get defensive now to keep him behind. He's not quite within striking range yet as they head into Canada Corner. As more people are in, this is Dan Suzuki in now. So a big group of cars. This is half the grid now coming into pit. This is more like it, isn't it? This is maybe a lap before halfway, so this is more like what we predicted.
Yeah, slightly early, but still, pit lane, a very busy place like we expected in this race. We do have split strategy, like I called out for Morad, but a little bit different than I expected. Only one of their 4 up front came in and pitted. That was Giuliano Romagnolo. We expect then that Dion Fialo will lead Daniel Morad and Sueli Almeida into the pit lane this time. Kanaan should follow. Owen Carroll has not pitted yet. Bruno Carnero has not pitted yet. Basically, the entire top 10, no, they all did just pit. The only 3 cars that have to pit up front are the top 3. Dion Fialo, Daniel Morad, and Sueli Almeida. everybody else has come in. Tony Kanaan is in, or has come in. Giuliano Romagnolo, and look at this. Tony Kanaan is now in front of Giuliano. Owen Carroll is pitted. Bruno Carnero is pitted. Tyson Meyer, Dave Cameron, and now Love 46 will be side by side with Dave Cam. This is up to turn 6.
On the outside, that's a tough pass to make, and Dave isn't going to give it away easily. This is the great thing about Road America, though. The track goes left, then right, then left. The inside at one corner is the outside at the next. That time, though, worked out for Dave Cam, and he manages to get that position. It's 9th place for them at the moment, so that looks like these two have swapped over, actually, during the pit stops, as in now come the leaders. So this is crucial. Can Tony Kanaan gain another couple of positions? He's picked up one in the pit lane, but he's had one extra lap on the track now. Can he perform the undercut and get into the podium places?
And let's follow Daniel's pit stop. We're looking for 26 seconds of fuel in a 57-second lane time. That is ideal, it seems. I mean, you want to pack in as much fuel as you possibly can, especially now the timer has just ticked past 30 minutes to go. This is best case scenario for the Maradness E-Stars group. And we'll see how this works out. Tony Kanaan is rocketing towards them right now. 9, 8 seconds back, 7 seconds, 6, closing. He might get this. 23 seconds in the box? It's going to be close.
Here we are on board with Kanaan. He's not quite going to get there, is he? But, he's alongside, actually, for 3rd place. So he might get on one of these positions. He's got warmer tyres. But he's on the outside on the way into turn number 3. This is brave stuff from Kanaan. Doesn't fancy going right round the outside, so instead he cuts back to the late apex, tries to tuck into that slipstream. But a bit of separation now between the teammates. You can see the other two ahead. If I apologise, that was Romagnolo going back past Kanaan, wasn't it? So
yes.
He was 3rd, but not for long.
Well, that was 4th. Romagnolo was getting that 4th spot back now. And I think the most interesting thing about this top 5 is the pit lane times are mirrored just about. Pit box time, rather. Dion took 23.5 in the box. Daniel 23.4. Swelio 23.9. They've sorted out in somewhat different spots, a little more spread out, but they should pack up. Giuliano, 24.8, but Tony took 23.4 in the box. So maybe just a little bit less fuel for a lot of these guys. Giuliano a little bit more. This is such a tough strategy to work out. Obviously, these guys are split in the pit lane, let alone us trying to figure it out. And look at this. 3 streamers in a line. Dan Suzuki, Matt Malone, and Sampson, and Balkan. 4 of them in a line.
It's almost like they've planned this, isn't it? I'll tell you what, for their stream viewers, this is a real treat now. All of their supporters rooting for each and every one of them. Up through the carousel they go. And we've got a nice variety of car here, haven't we, as well? 2 Lamborghinis, and in the middle, the Ferrari and the Audi. All mid-engine cars, so they'll all generate their speed in a pretty even way. But this, therefore, should be a really close battle between the 4 of them.
Now, this is all 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Suzuki's 13th. Matt Malone is 14th. He still has to pit. Samsoid there is 15th, and Balkan is 16th. So Balkan will keep with these guys. They will stay in the line that they had previously with Suzuki, Samsoid, and Balkan. But just the fact that Matt Malone has that incident earlier on, pits early, goes really wide in 13, gets back on in front of these guys now, and sorts out into this little grouping is... how do you script that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's benefited him now. The trouble is, we're almost certain that Malone can't make it to the end, aren't we? He's going to have to come in and get some more fuel, so he'll be enjoying this while it lasts. Side by side behind him. In fact, Malone's going to go for the move as well, so 2 by 2 into turn number 1. Malone can't make the move, but we do have the change of position behind. That was Samsoid gaining a place, holding on to the place, around the outside line, so it stays as it is, but Matt Malone is getting well and truly stuck in, knowing, I guess, that this is as high up as he's going to run all day.
You think Balkan saves here to turn 5?
Well, let's find out. He's got a nice slipstream as well, hasn't he? You can save the fuel in the slipstream. Let's listen in as he drops down the hill into the braking zone.
No clutch there. I wouldn't be surprised if Samsoid did. I wouldn't be surprised if Suzuki did, as Dan Suzuki's got a lot of trouble right now. Matt Malone is making it tough on him.
Yeah, Matt is weaving around behind. He's got the headlights switched on as well. Where can the Ferrari make the move? A good run through turn 7. could help him. That was a good run. He's closed maybe a car length there. Does he look to the inside? No, sensible that really. It must be tempting to go for the move, but he's going to wait until there's a more safe and easy opportunity. Closes in through the carousel as well. I mean, this is so close. The slightest slip up here between either of them could spell disaster.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and I think if you're Samsoid and Balkan right here, you sit back and watch this. Just watch this with, I think, a sense of opportunity, because if these two keep battling like this, it's only going to open the door at some point for these guys behind. And Samsoid and Balkan, they might not be listening. I think Balkan is squaring up a move here to Canada corner. No, he ends up sitting back. This is, I think, the best place on the racetrack to watch for action right now. This is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Something is about to happen here, isn't it? I'm not sure what it is yet, but there is some action just around the corner, I think. And here it comes, maybe trying to get to the outside there was Matt Malone. You're never going to go around the outside at the last corner. What he's trying to do is get that good exit, carry a bit more speed up the hill. We're riding on board with Suzuki. I think he's going to make the move, isn't he?
Oh, bump draft. Ooh. All right, we do have Talladega and Daytona coming up here.
That is what the front end of a Ferrari 488 GT3 looks like, everyone.
That is so cool to see that, especially from that camera point. That is so cool to see as Malone slips up a little bit at the apex of 1. That opens the door slightly for Samsoid. You saw the nose of the Audi poking on through. No position change here, but there is a position change for 7th and 8th. Tyson Meyer and Bruno Carnero are battling. These guys now inside the top 10. Corkatize has brought the fight.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, these are getting closer and closer together. I guess Carroll and Carnero have been battling away all race, but with Meyer a part of it now, it's important for Meyer to try and gain some places here, isn't it? To try and get some points for the team. He's by far the best performing of that team at the moment, so a top 6 position would certainly help their point situation come the end of the race.
Yeah, each of these teams need as much as they can get right now. I don't know that I don't think you go up there and you beat Muradness at all right now, especially with an 18-second spread in the top 10. You're going to have to rely on pit strategy, which has already happened for the most part, and incidents. You're going to have to just put yourself in a good spot as Malone puts himself to the inside in the carousel, but holds back. This racecraft is just incredible. This battle, these 4 could be a highlight reel for the entire year, I think.
This is just fantastic racing, but what more would you expect? That's what these guys do. They put on a show for their viewers every single day, and there's a reason that they're so popular, because the racing they get involved in is just really exciting to watch, and this one certainly is living up to the expectations. Oh, that's a big dive, and he stops it as well. Fantastic.
And did you see the awareness, not just from Samson, but Matt Malone saw that purple Lambo in the mirror and got up out of the way just to be safe, as now Balkan a bit wide. Oh my gosh. That's good stuff.
Not convinced that's the fastest line through turn 13.
No,
it was
not quite.
exciting to watch, that's for sure. Brilliant move there. How on earth did he get that car stopped at Canada Corner without rattling into the side of Matt Malone?
A lot of ABS.
Yes, the brakes will be screaming in pain right now, I think.
Samsoid clutches there. You heard it on the stream. What I love about onboards as well is you can hear when these guys put the clutch in. You don't hear that from TV cameras. You might hear it in a NASCAR race a little bit as side by side. Malone up the inside. My goodness. That looked a lot closer from Samsoid's point of view, didn't it?
It did. He almost got there, but full credit here to Matt Malone, because the temptation must be just to send it up the inside. I mean, he's less than a car length behind again, heading into turn 5.
Ooh!
Looks to the inside, the door's closed. That is not a good place to be making contact.
No, and that was definitely a block. Just about any racing sanctioning body on the planet would consider that a block, which is usually not allowed in road racing, but I think when it's these 4, you'll allow that one, as that was a very, very aggressive, optimistic block at Dan Suzuki, but it works out. They keep racing, but only just.
Yeah, and what it does is allows Balkan to close in on the pair of them now, because his battle that he'd been having had delayed them slightly. That gap has disappeared now, though. If you're Matt Malone, you may be done being patient now. He's tried to do this cleanly. He's tried to do it sensibly.
Oh, no.
That block, I think, might just change his mind.
Tyson Meyer with a massive, massive bit of damage here. That car is not as it should be.
No. Has he been off at the kink, maybe? We'll find out now, I guess. But there's a lot of front-end damage. That won't be helping his front aerodynamics. Here's the replay. Let's see what happened to him.
side by side with Owen Carroll, and yes, it's going to come in the kink. Out of the carousel they go, side by side. This is a replay now of Tyson Meyer's incident. Owen Carroll on the outside, Tyson on the inside. Owen just comes back over, and oh my goodness. There's that little bit of space, I think, that they would have been okay in real life. Unfortunately, when you've got cars ripping down the straightaways at Road America at almost 200 miles an hour, sometimes you'll get just that little bit of netcode. And, I mean, it's so difficult for a racing sim to predict exactly where that car is going to be. Unfortunately, that's just what happens sometimes.
Yeah, it is, and it's so frustrating because it isn't anybody's fault. You know, as a driver, when something goes wrong, you immediately look for someone to blame, but you really can't in that situation. It's just one of the things with sim racing that can happen. But what a shame, he was doing such a good job for his team, up there scoring some good points. This ain't over, is it, though? Here comes Malone back to the outside. This looks messy.
Into turn 5 again, this time no block from Suzuki. Malone around the outside, touching mirrors there through turn 5. This is just so good. It's so tough to actually keep my thoughts straight, obviously. I mean, this is just good stuff. This is really, really good racing.
You just want to sit back and watch it. Oh, Malone in the grass. That was always going to happen. He saves it. Well done for saving it, but loses a couple of places. You can only sit on the outside line for so many corners before you end up in the weeds. And, yeah, unfortunately, turn 6 was one corner too many for Malone.
Oh, that's not how you do that. Matt Malone with a big... Doesn't look like it, but that's a lot of damage to that right front.
Yeah, and the car wasn't brilliant to start with, was it? Had already got some damage.
Well, he had fast repaired that damage on the rear, thankfully, but it had that bit of right front damage. I don't know where he got that exactly. Let's watch this whole sequence on back, because that's almost race ending for the Matt Malone team as a whole, I think. Not just Matt Malone in the number 10, but let's watch this sequence back from the onboard.
Yeah, so heads down the straight. He's got the slipstream, goes to the outside. Like you said, Andrew, there's no block this time. It's clean racing at this point. And he so nearly makes this stick, doesn't he? He goes around the outside at turn 5, and for a moment, it looks like he's going to get the place. See here, they just avoid contact. He keeps it on the road. There's racing room left for him as he comes back on the track. Turn 6, though, this is where it's about to get ugly.
Oh, a bit of Formula 1 there, huh?
Yeah.
That's a bit of Formula 1 defense, and that's not intentional at all from Dan Suzuki. If Dan was going to force Matt off, he would have done it a long time ago, right? If any bit of that had been intentional, it would have happened a long time ago. That's just unfortunately a small mistake, and I mean, you're talking about a game of inches at hundreds of miles an hour now. You saw he just caught the grass on exit of turn 8. That's painful as a driver, to have that kind of sequence of events. If you just get kind of shoved off a little bit, get back on and get back racing, that's one thing. But to have that spin after is really, really detrimental to your day and just your morale as a whole. We'll go back up front. Dion Fiallo is leading this race for Muradness E-Stars. Sully Almeida has moved into second, and Daniel Morad has fallen into third. Giuliano Romagnolo has picked up fourth spot, Tony Kanaan fifth. Bruno Carnero now, after all of that incident with Tyson Meyer joining the fight, Bruno is now sixth, Owen Carroll seventh, and he doesn't even have a challenge for another 9 seconds back to Dave Cameron. That was a lap car he was side-by-side with, one of the Matt Malone machines, I believe. Dave Cameron is back here, and Love 46 is not far off.
Tell you what, I think Love 46 could be on course to be the second best scoring team at the moment.
With Loveridge in a top 10, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic effort from that. And I think it's fair to say a little unexpected maybe. There were other teams that we thought would go up there and challenge Muradness, but yeah, really good effort. The driver I'm watching, though, is their lead driver, actually, Bruno Carnero. He's a little bit quicker than Kanaan right now, taking a few tenths of a second a lap out of him. About 2.5 seconds back, but there's still 16, 17 minutes to go, so Kanaan could have some pressure here.
Let's see. I believe this should show it, yes. Previous lap time for Bruno, a 2:06.247. You can see the gap to the leader, the gap ahead, and all of that. If we go up to Tony Kanaan, however, keep that number in mind, all right? 2:06.247. Tony Kanaan, 2:07.452. That's a second and change, and Bruno is closing quick.
Yeah, he's one of the fastest cars on the track, actually, isn't he? If he can get past Kanaan quickly, Romagnolo's only another second or so up the road. So I don't know where Bruno's getting this speed from. Has he saved enough fuel, though? That's the other question. It's one thing to push hard and get these good lap times out. You need to make sure you've got the gas to get to the end.
You can see the pit time, 25 seconds, one of the longer pit stops, at least in the box, that we've seen throughout this field. That's at least hopeful then for Bruno. To have that longer stop is always, more fuel, as he's a bit off track there in 7, gets back on. In a Porsche, that is a close call.
Yeah, that's because he's got all that weight over the rear axle. When that weight then compresses into grass instead of tarmac, then yeah, easy to get the rear end sliding. And as you know, Andrew, once the rear of a Porsche starts to slide and sway, you don't often get it back from there. So he was lucky to escape that.
No, you don't just drift a Porsche. That doesn't just happen. There's a reason that you see a lot of front engine cars with rear drive go drifting, because Porsches don't do it very well. What will be interesting, I think, is a mind game for Bruno if he continues to close in on Tony Kanaan, is, as I mentioned earlier on in this race, Bruno Carnero, his previous runs on Pit Stop TV have all been in the International Online Racing League, IORL for short. They run IndyCars throughout the year. There are a lot of karting guys, a lot of IndyCar guys. IndyCar is their thing. Open wheelers are their thing. For Bruno to be chasing IndyCar champion, Indianapolis 500 winner Tony Kanaan, that's going to be some pressure.
Oh, most definitely, but this goes back to what I said earlier on. That's exactly what he'll be thinking of. If IndyCars and open wheels is his thing, then how good must it feel to be catching, I guess, one of his racing heroes? Tony Kanaan is most people's racing hero, really, isn't he? And he's quicker than him right now, and not by a little bit either. He continues to take big chunks of time out of Kanaan. This is really the stuff that dreams are made of, and without things like iRacing, your average sim racer would not get the chance to go and race someone like Tony Kanaan, and that looks like it's what Bruno's about to do.
And if I had to guess, I would dare say that Bruno Carnero, based on that name, has some Brazilian heritage. That's only going to add to it.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That is a good point. So, yeah, even more reason to suspect that he's a fan of Tony's then, but I don't think that'll mean that he treats Tony any kinder.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, has to respect, everybody has to respect Tony Kanaan, the career he's led on. This is going to be interesting, to watch Bruno's move up here through the top 10, maybe for the top 5. Good stuff. Certainly good stuff. He's really rose on iRacing lately, rose into the occasion and moved up through the ranks. He's led a pretty impressive iRacing career, actually. I don't have all the accolades in front of me at the moment, but just good stuff. And, I mean, in a race like this, where Moradnes has controlled this race so well, if Bruno can keep this up and keep moving up and I think just finish this race without any further mistakes, get the top 5 maybe even, that's just a really good day. That is one of the highlights, I think, that he's got to take, even for a very young 2022 as it is. I think that's going to be a highlight of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. A brilliant performance, this, to get anywhere near the front of the field, because we've said it all along, it's such a competitive grid. If you can be running in the top 10, no matter who you are or what team you're representing, that is a really good effort. Back with Love 46, meanwhile, and she has not had a lap yet, I don't think, where she's been involved in some kind of battle. It's Dave Cam now up the road in the fight for 8th place, and the fight, I believe, to be the best of the streamers in the race.
Well, Daniel Morad constitutes as a streamer. He is 3rd. Otherwise, you're right. So for second best, absolutely, Dave Cam and Love 46 are after it right now. I have to wonder. It's not quite 46 characters, but maybe is it 23 in her name? Did she double the 23 characters potentially in her name as 46? Is that where she gets 46, maybe? A mind left to wonder wonders.
I'm just counting. I struggled when I got beyond about 7, but I'll take your word for that. That you could be onto something. If you're right about that, that is a stroke of genius.
I think it's 21 characters. If you count the car number as digits, as we've got a spin up here, this isn't Owen Carroll, is it? No, who is that? David Moore. He's just stopped at the apex. I mean, I too would love to sit at the apex of turn 5 and watch a race at Road America, but I don't recommend doing it in a race car.
I want to know how he got there, because that is an odd place to end up pointing the wrong way. On the exit of the corner is one thing, but to be pointing the wrong way before you get to turn 5 means he's had a bit of a moment, I suspect.
Well, haven't they all had a moment today? I think this entire field has probably had 1 or 2 moments at the very least. Here's a look at David Moore's issues. Battling with a teammate. That's not how you want this to end up, is it?
Well, hang on. In the end, his teammate had very little to do with that. If anything, he was trying to give him a wide berth, wasn't he?
And that was Stevie Marshall and the number 7 Lambo that went on by too. Yeah, that's unfortunately not quite how you do that. I wish that was a proper seating opportunity for watching a race, but I don't think so. Well, you know what that does do here, Andy, is that allows us to go right back up to the battle with Love 46. She's still tailing Dave Cam, and we've got about 10 minutes to go here. This is still one of the, I think, next to maybe the battle we saw with Matt Malone and those guys a little bit ago with Dan Suzuki and Balkan and Sam Sweat, and they are still battling. We'll get to that in a second. This has to be one of the best places to watch a race in the whole race, I guess. If not the world right now in iRacing. Love 46 has a challenge here, looks up the inside. Dave covers it up, now left. She's going to try and outbrake him, gets to the left rear, gets right back behind.
Really see the way that draft worked down the pit straight. The last third of the straight, she really closed in on the Porsche ahead, but now out of the corners, you'd imagine the Porsche might have a little bit of an edge. She's closer now, though, coming off turn 3 than she was coming off turn 14, and this is a similarly length straight. It's a little bit shorter, but I think she's going to be close enough to have a go here. Into the braking zone at turn 5, this last little bit of the straight. Look at the way the Audi closes in, goes to the outside, late on the brakes. Can they both get it stopped? Look at the brake discs, glowing orange, and somehow Dave Cam holds on.
I don't know how he's doing this. I really don't. I know Dave Cam has been sim racing for a long time. One of the, I think, more cool-headed drivers. Call him a cucumber, maybe. Nice, calm, cool, collected. But I don't know how he's holding up to this pressure right now, to be entirely honest with you. With the draft into turn 1 and even into turn 5, this is good stuff.
Yeah, and he's not overly defending either. That's kind of the worst thing you can do. If you start defending into every corner, it just holds you up so much. And Dave will be very aware of the fact that Love 46's teammate, Matt Loveridge, is only a few seconds further back. So if he really starts defending, he's going to have not one, but 2 of the Love 46 drivers right on his tail. So it's a clever drive, this, so far from Dave.
We flash back to the battle we saw earlier on, where Matt Malone, unfortunately, is no longer a part of it. Dan Suzuki leading Balkan and Samsoid around the kink. And this is now for 12th, 13th, and 14th. They've picked up a spot or two as, well, I guess Tyson Meyer would have been that spot, wasn't it? As he had his issue with Owen Carroll. Inside of 10 minutes to go, I wonder if any of these guys can make a late push. Well, probably not for the top 10, huh? They're 14 seconds back of Matt Loveridge. I don't think that 14-second gap is going to erase itself any time quickly. But, I mean, this has just been a great run for each of these guys, I think. In a field of 50, keep that in mind. Where we're talking about a top 15 being a slightly disappointing day, it's the top 15 of a 50 cars. I mean, you've got to be ecstatic anytime you show up to a race and you're in the top half, let alone when there's 49 other drivers. That's a good day.
Yeah, and I think there are still 33 cars on the lead lap as well, so they're about halfway through the, competitive cars that haven't fallen off the lead lap for one reason or another, and they've enjoyed a great battle. I think that's the thing I'm happiest about here, that they've just enjoyed a good fight with each other. This is what I wanted to see, a group of the streamers getting together and having their own sort of private battle, and they're quite rightly taking centre stage here. Bit of a mistake there, though, I noticed from Balkan. That wasn't the best exit from turn 3.
Well, I think we've got a problem here for our favorite Brazilian in the race. Tony Kanaan, I believe, has just had an issue in turn 5. He's no longer on the standings. This is a look at him. Now, this could also be connection related, but I doubt at this point. If you last 50 minutes in a race, I doubt you lag out in the last 10. As Kanaan through 5, does it happen over turn 6? There you go.
No.
That's unfortunate.
Well. That is a sim racer's worst nightmare, isn't it, that? Because there is nothing you can do about it. What a shame, though. I was really enjoying seeing him up there, and we were looking forward to that battle with this man, Bruno Carnero. I'm sure Bruno was looking forward to it as well.
But I'm sure he also appreciates now the clear windshield and clear track ahead. Obviously, it would have been great for Bruno to battle with him, but it makes it a whole lot easier, at the very least. Probably, again, not the way he would have wanted it to go, but I think you can sit content with the way that ends up for that spot. We do have some drivers, or not some drivers, but some fans wondering about points. That's a great question to ask, especially with 6 minutes to go. These guys are being scored today on the league scoring rubric. Now, I don't know it to heart, but it's, I believe, a little more than a point per position. And Scott Reiser can absolutely chime in and correct me on that. He, of course, makes all of this happen behind the North American Racing League. But the normal scoring rubric is what's being applied here. So basically, each of these teams, be it Maradness, Love 46, Samsoid, Dave Cam, doesn't matter. Each of these teams will earn points for each of their drivers depending on where they finish. And they will obviously put those together, and basically the largest lump sum wins. So to balance this, each team has had to select from 3 pro drivers, 3 AM drivers based on iRating. So they've been given ranges of iRating to work within. They've picked 3 drivers to match each along with themselves. That gives you your team of 7. Tony Kanaan was in here as a mix, a wild card, and unfortunately now he's dropped out, but I will never miss seeing his smiling face there on the ticker. So, obviously, with 5 minutes to go, you see 4 Maradness E-Stars still in the top 5, in the top 4, in fact. I mean, obviously, they've got the advantage here by a long shot, but you start to think about second place as actually, that was one of their teammates, thankfully. That was one of their teammates further on back in the field. That was not one of the leader Maradness cars. In fact, this is Daniel Nist out of Georgia. But you start to wonder about second place, and I think easily with 3 drivers in the top 10, you start to look to Love 46.
Yeah, they've been the most consistent team apart from Maradness, haven't they, by far? So, and they could still gain another couple of points here because Love 46 is still applying the pressure to Dave Cam, and Matt Loveridge continues to close in, only 2.5 seconds behind his team leader now. So there's Bruno Carnero in 5th place. But yeah, I do think there will still be a few positional changes. And in fact, right there for 3rd, that was Romagnolo past Marad for P3.
Challenging your team owner for a position here in the last 4 minutes. That's optimistic. It is now inside of 4 minutes to go, as I just mentioned, so we're getting down to crunch time here. This is where we're going to find out if teams are good on fuel, and Daniel Morad the send into turn 5. Oh my goodness. And well, I think that's maybe a little bit warranted in that battle. That was good stuff.
This answers my question from about 50 minutes ago about how hard this lot were going to fight each other. They've built a gap on the rest of the field, and now they are, it seems, going to fight for the race win. The other question we have to ask here as well, Andrew, is fuel. Is there anyone, especially amongst the leaders, that isn't going to make it? We saw some pit stops from as early as 25 minutes into the race. If you're going to run out of gas, it's going to happen at this point of the race.
Yeah, Riley Dickinson was one of the earliest drivers to pit, and Dickinson is former Radness, so this, you know, it's not a guaranteed win. If you take the top 4 spots, sure, you're looking good, but you can't do that and then take the bottom 3, for example. Now, they're not going to Radness C-Stars, but if this strategy does not work out for Dickinson in 19th and suddenly he loses some spots, the drivers behind are really going to make up some spots. And the biggest one that I think you have to look at is actually right behind. Violet Alexandra Miller is one of the Love 46 drivers in the top 20 and 20th spot. If Dickinson is short on fuel and has to pit, the fact that he loses points obviously hurts Maradness, but the fact that he loses points specifically to a Love 46 driver right behind is huge.
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that Dan Suzuki said to us when we chatted to him pre-race. You know, last year, the championship was really won by the AM drivers. If the pro drivers are all having, you know, a pretty average race, but the AM drivers are scoring well, remember, you score points within your class, as far as I understand it as well, that can really change things around. So just because Maradness have the top 4 positions locked out in the race overall, doesn't necessarily mean that what's happening behind won't have an impact on that as well.
And just looking through more of the back end of the field, you can see Malone is back here mired between some of the AM drivers as they're considered. Again, it's not changing the scoring with the AM drivers. I want to be clear on that. But they are, I guess, it changes the build-up of the team. So it tries to balance teams through the pro and AM makeup of each team, as Malone's actually going to take a spot here on Ian Carter. And Ian Carter, I believe, is going to be one of the Dave Cam drivers based on the livery, if I had to guess anyway. No, Carter's one of the Balkan cars. So actually that Dave Cam, not McLaren, Mercedes is in between, and that is a lapped car. And we'll now move out of the way for Carter. So Carter for Balkan, that's actually quite interesting. That said, with a minute to go, let's go right back up front. I think that's pretty important to do here with just 60 seconds remaining as we work around the carousel. We should get the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art next time by.
Yeah, that has flown by, hasn't it? We're right at the end of the race already, and Maradness continue their formation flying at the front of the field. Of course, running in the draft, you can save a bit of fuel as well, so they've really had this pretty easy so far. Dan Suzuki, well, the chances of him reclaiming the championship that he took last year look a little bit slim, but he's still involved in a battle here and pushing hard to the end. These guys in the midfield, they don't have the luxury that Maradness have of coasting home. They are fighting right to the end.
Now, Balkan has passed both of these two. He has gotten on by Samsoid and Dan Suzuki, which I find quite interesting. This is for 12th. Actually, now 11th, 12th, and 13th with the exit of Tony Kanaan. So if there's a mistake ahead in these last few moments, suddenly one of these guys is going to get a top 10, and they've got to battle for it. White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art across the line that time, and here we go. Teammates going to fight on the final lap. It is all three of the pro drivers for Maradness up front. Murad has fallen back, so Almeida now takes the lead over the Porsche of Fiallo. Romagnolo going to try and regroup as well.
Yeah, Romagnolo has been running fourth all race, now gets third. There's a mistake from the leader there, so we did have the lead change, and I think we're about to get another one. They could be 3 wide by the time they get down to turn 5. Level pegging between Fiallo and Almeida. You're on board with Romagnolo, and he's catching the pair of them. Where does he go, though?
Great question. Middle, maybe he looked, thought about it. The battle to turn 5 now inside. So close. And, Romagnolo maybe had an opening there to go 3 wide up the inside of both. Inside there is Almeida. Outside is Fiallo. 3 of the Maradness E-Stars bunch fighting like this. This has got to be nerve-wracking for Daniel. But ways behind. Oh, my goodness.
Murad is having nothing to do with this, isn't he? He's dropped well back, and I think that's the sensible thing to do. Fair play to Almeida for hanging on to that lead, though. I thought for sure Fiallo was going to get him, and now with less than half a lap to go, Fiallo is running out of opportunities. Realistically, it's Canada Corner, isn't it? It will all come down to Canada Corner. That's his last shot to snatch the win away.
Well, let's watch on board then from the Lamborghini of Suelio Almeida. For the kink there, this might be a little too much to try and make up if you're Dion Fiallo. That's a decent little gap. And I think Giuliano's fallen back. Dion is going to have a chance there. No, they might not even fight at this point. I think they've realized they've already done their fighting. Let's just bring it home. A sweep of the top 4. That's just beyond incredible. Suelio Almeida leads through 13. At this point, it sounds like they're not even 100% throttle. Yes, in fact, they're checking up. They want Daniel Morad in this group. He now goes on by Giuliano Romagnolo. Will he go on by the rest? Are they going to line up 4 wide? Who knows? This is good stuff, but Bruno's coming up. They've got to be careful here. Bruno's not going to get the spot. Across the line, Dion wins. Then it's Suelio Almeida. Daniel Morad 3rd. No, Romagnolo, I think, edges him out. I don't know. It'll sort out. Romagnolo 4th, Morad 3rd. Bruno Carnero comes across in 5th, and the rest of the field will come on through shortly. There's another Maradness car. Owen Carroll should come across right about now. There's Dave Cam, Love 46, Matt Loveridge, Marie Hrushka. Good stuff.
Fantastic racing. I wonder if some of those Maradness cars were running low on fuel at the end there, because I agreed with you at first. I thought they were checking up to sort of wave Murad through into the win, but that didn't happen. So I wonder if that was some extreme fuel saving going on at the end. You mentioned they weren't at full throttle, and the way they suddenly slowed there, you have to wonder that, given how tight we expected fuel to be.
Was that Tyson Meyer across the line? I think it was. And I don't recall exactly. I want to say he was one of the drivers in the first one as well, also potentially for Balkan. If I remember correctly, he might have done the exact same thing in the first running of this event at the end there. As you can see, Maradness going to celebrate in turn 5. We'll go back to our speed shot, watch the rest of the field come on through. There's still several cars yet to finish and determine the rest of this running order. Now, it has been pointed out, and I had not been made entirely aware of this, but it does look like, yes, only the top 2 drivers of each category will score points along with the streamer for each team. So that changes things up a little bit. Obviously, we can't score this. Myself and Andy McEwen, we cannot score this. We will wait on official word, but it does very, very much look like Maradna Sea-Stars has this far and away, but we will wait on official wording. Love 46 is a great contender. I just don't know if it's going to work out. And, well, yeah, that's a race.
It was a race. There was lots of good racing there as well. That was some really good stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to see what this all means for the points. I mean, we were struggling to count how many letters there were in Love 46's name, so I'm definitely not going to attempt to work out the points. But I think it could be closer than we expected because of how well Bruno Carnero and Love 46 herself did in that race.
And the AMs. And let's not discount the effort of Matt Loveridge as well. A top 10 is huge for Matt Loveridge. Marie Hrushka did lead Dan Suzuki. Marie will pick up a top 10. Balkan finishes 11th. Samsoid in 12th. So we can go ahead. What we can do, well, we can't exactly speculate as to results too much, but we can take a look at the unofficial for now race results, and you can see Dion Fiallo with the race win. And I would imagine what these guys did was not to get Daniel up to the win, but just get a good picture. I think the good picture mattered a lot to them right there. To dominate this race, have seconds back to the rest of the field, it's probably pretty important to come across and get a good picture at the end of everybody crossing the line at the same time. Props, seriously, to Maradna Sea-Stars. I still cannot believe that entire race from that entire team.
Yeah, that was formation flying from the drop of the green flag till the checkered flag. I think what they were doing there, by putting Murad third, that gets him as a streamer an extra point or two, doesn't it? So they've got two pro drivers that take maximum points, first and second, and then they've got their streamer in third without taking points off the pro. So that is to calculate on the go is really clever.
Wow. I'm just stunned that you figured that out and I didn't.
You're stunned. I tell you what, I don't know where I pulled that from.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. If only two pros count and only two AMs count, you are absolutely right. They checked up not only for the picture, but to put Daniel third and get him the best score that he gets so that he wasn't losing points effectively. Because if he had finished fourth to Giuliano, he would be losing points because Giuliano's wouldn't have counted. That is big brain, not only from Daniel Morad, but also from you, Andy. Good stuff figuring that one out. Good eye. Bruno Carnero leads Love 46, finishes 5th. Owen Carroll 6th. Dave Cameron. In fact, Owen Carroll for Samsoid. I will say that's a really solid effort out of Samsoid to find Owen Carroll in the final few days leading up to this event and get him into this race. Props there. Dave Cam 7th, leading the Dave Cam group, as well as Love 46 there in 8th. Matt Lovers for Love 46 in 9th, and Marie Hrushka rounds out the field, or rounds out the top 10 anyways, there for Dan Suzuki. Back to the 11th through 20th. How do we make of this here, Andy?
Yeah, so Slaven Prosina there in 11th place. That was a really close finish, look, just 3/10 ahead of Samsoid there in 12th. So you can see here how tight it was right through the midfield. Craig Martin 13th, Brian Pigman's 14th, Dan Suzuki in 15th place. So Suzuki, from where he started to where he finished, that's a big gain of position. So he can be really happy with that. Again, a second or so ahead of Tyson Meyer, who dropped down to 16th, David Hicks, Michael Kotab, Mitchell Bott, and Teague Ashburn there to round out the top 20. But at the end of a 1 hour race, to have the top 17 within a minute of each other, especially given how chaotic the opening few laps were, that's pretty impressive.
Really very impressive. And even the top 20 is still within a minute 6. That is a half lap, effectively. And it looks like down through 29th, despite some extended gaps there for Sven Jansen probably, and Riley Dickinson. They do finish officially on the lead lap, it looks like, in 29th down there. Violet Alexandria Miller for Love 46, a solid 21st there. So it doesn't quite work out for her to get that top 20, but still a really good finish. And you can see Riley Dickinson, as we speculated, did not have fuel to go to the end, did have to make another pit stop, finishes 29th. Let me just confirm that it was a pit stop, though. And yes. Oh, my goodness. I mean, one lap to the end. that close, and unfortunately Riley Dickinson falls down to 29th. That's going to really, really hurt that operation, but it only helps everybody else. Johnny Filler comes on through, Neil Bledsoe, Matt Malone 24th, Anders Ankerson. You know what? After being airborne on lap 2, that's a good comeback. 25th spot, Magnus Danielson there, Ian Carter, Sven Jensen, Riley Dickinson, and Drew Bickle, your top 30.
Magnus Danielson there and Drew Bickle, they are both AM drivers for Love 46, and they finished behind some of Maradnas's AM drivers. So, again, looking at the point situation, which we'll try and get confirmation of when we can, that could favour maybe Maradnas. There is Daniel Nistluck in 31st place, and Daniel Nist is, I think, the last of the Maradnas cars home there in 31st, ahead of Stevie Marshall and Aaron Jackson, Yaz Samai, Cohen Janssen, James Fawkes, Simon Olyika, David Moore, Daniel Dennison, and down in 40th place, Abdulkair Al Amri, and these guys all at least one lap down, some of them I'm sure having to make pit stops for repairs.
Simon Olyika, where'd you learn that one?
Oh, a pure guess, I'm probably wrong, but it sounded good.
Okay, we'll go with it. Finishing 41st, Tony Kanaan after his drop out of the session, unfortunately, 4 laps down. Let's also talk about his great race. Top 5 the entire way through, even moved up into 4th for a little while there after the pit stop. Really, really good stuff from Tony Kanaan. He was actually in a race that I commentated with SimTV on Wednesday. It was an endurance race, iRacing for the kids. They raised $19,000 and counting for sick kids. And great stuff there as well. Tony led his group to the race. Just absolutely annihilated his stint in the best of ways. Does so again here until his internet gets the best of him there. You can see Hugo Van Aert, 42nd. Xavier Jackson added literally during practice, 43rd. Not so bad, all things considered. He wasn't going to be in the race at all, so 43rd is better than not being in the race. Santiago Lieb there in 44th. Yannick Moramin, Tommy DeWild. We saw a lot of these guys with incidents during the race, and I'm sure had tows and repairs and got off sequence. Matty Helenius, I'm going to hope is somewhat close. Jake Ward, James Davidson, and Brock Mays, your full 50-car field. So, let's catch our breath here. Air in the lungs is always good. We have several streamers, in fact 7, that have just finished up an hour of racing. Andy, let's go ahead and talk to them. Let's lead off with the highest finishing of the bunch that are in here so far, and that is Dave Cam, and I feel like it's only appropriate that I hand him over to you.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that. I was looking forward to chatting to Dave. Dave, welcome to the broadcast booth. That was a pretty exciting race out there. You were defending for a lot of it. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. Really, really good race. That first half was nice and steady, just staying alive. And then I came across Love 46, and then the race just became 100 times more difficult.
Yeah, we were watching a lot of that fight, and obviously 2 different cars, the Porsche and the Audi, but they seemed over the lap to be very, very equal.
Yeah, I think I was maybe stronger in the middle sector, but in the first sector and the last sector, Lubov caught up with me there. But yeah, over the lap, pretty similar, but good racing though, good pressure.
How did you find the Porsche out there? Because both myself and Andrew, we saw that you were entered in the Porsche, and we both sort of at the same time said, yeah, that's a very Dave Cam choice of car. It's not the easiest to drive though, is it?
No, I did some testing this week, and the BMW seemed to be a little bit quicker for me, but it wasn't as stable under turning. I did think about going the Mercedes, but it was a little bit too much off the pace. And I thought Audi's going to be strong, Lamborghini's going to be strong. Well, let's compromise. Let's go the Porsche. It's a little bit different. So the Porsche it was, and it felt really good, to be honest. The tyres went off in the second half quite badly. There's a lot of understeer, which I had to stamp on the throttle just to try and get the thing to turn. But it felt good throughout the race, to be honest.
Well, Dave, we really enjoyed watching you out there. The battle you had with Love 46 was one of the highlights of the race, and glad to hear you enjoyed it as well.
No, thank you. Thank you for the broadcast. I'll look forward to watching this later on. Thank you.
Good stuff, Dave. Well, Andrew, I think Dave enjoyed that race, and we enjoyed watching him as well.
That we did. Very, very good stuff. And to wrangle that Porsche around with such ease, I think, really talks on the... actions do speak louder than words, so it talks on the, skill there of Dave Cameron. After talking for an hour about a race, English is not my strong point right now. We are going to move on down the line to didn't quite win the race, but the team, I think, is going to win the day, certainly. Daniel Morad, who puts a lot of effort into coaching a lot of these drivers in the North American Racing League. Daniel, first off, big time congrats. Secondly,
thank you.
When did you guys have the big brain moment to go ahead and put you on through to third to make sure you didn't lose any points?
I wish I did that by design, but unfortunately, the guys are just, well, I guess fortunately for me, they're just so quick. We were playing a little bit of a fuel-saving game, and we rotated positions early on, and it just was pretty apparent that that Dion was the dominant driver within the squad. So we let him kind of lead the way and kind of bring our pace up through and try to increase that gap throughout the race. Swelio as well. I got a little caught up in some traffic, and it just worked out where he went through, and we just stayed in that position to the end. Jules, of course, we were having a little fun on the radio. He said he was going to send me, and I again just taking it easy. We're saving fuel. He was full attack, and you know what? We realized, and thanks to Scott Kimbrough, he was on the channel in the Twitch sphere. And he's like, hey, only the top 2 pros score, and then the streamer, and then the top 2 AMs. So we're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna need to do the old James. This is or Val3. This is James trick, and Jules is a good guy. So if he didn't do that, he was fired for sure. So team order is definitely involved.
Well, you bring Swelio and Giuliano over, and I of course saw you guys on Wednesday racing for Sick Kids, but this, I guess, really is a strong point going into the upcoming Porsche Cup season. Then, yeah, I mean, a big presence already in NARL for you specifically. To bring these two in, I saw them on the entry list already. This has got to be really promising.
Yeah, I've been involved. I mean, I think you guys touched on it just before I jumped in here, but I've been involved with the North American Racing League, which is my favorite league now. It's quickly become my favorite. I actually watch all the races. Even when I'm at my IMSA races in real life, I take the time on the Thursdays and jump onto the YouTube channel, and you guys see me regularly there chatting away. It's just good fun. I like working with everyone. I'm working with probably half the field now, and just elevating the quality of the field and helping people with consistency. Coaching majority of the AM drivers and quite a few of the pros as well. So. Huge thank you to Scott Reister. I have to say that he has become a friend of mine in real life, and just the support that he's given me in his program in the North American Racing League. Offering me, technically, I don't know if it's officially the head coach, but I'm coaching a lot of the people and really offering discounts to early signups and people like that are looking for coaching and improvement. So, yeah, huge appreciation to him. And I can't wait to see what the pro guys do in the North American Racing League. So Jules, Swelio, we're going to have a couple more. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all the races because my schedule is hectic this year, but we're definitely going to be strong in terms of the Moradness E-Stars representation.
Well, I don't want to keep you or the other streamers for too long, but I have to ask, how was that? 4 cars dominating the entire day, especially ahead of TK.
Yeah, unfortunately he disconnected, which was it was a shame, but we had it covered, I would say. I mean, it just goes. It's a testament to the guys, the guys that we have with us. It's just like any top sim team. You have quality guys, you push each other, and you keep pushing the bar up and up and up, and I mean, yeah, it's just when you have quality guys and you surround yourself with good quality guys, then you just get better and better.
Well, there you go. Daniel Morad, just a proper day. Seriously. Props, pat on the back, whatever.
Huge team effort.
Yeah, go crack a cold one and enjoy the day, because that was just good stuff. Congratulations, the entire team.
Quick question. Did we win the AM as well?
So, it's scored as a whole, right?
Yeah.
It is 2 pros, 2 AM. What I've been told by Scott so far is that unofficially for now, I'm sure that's going to be official here soon, you guys do win on the day.
Okay,
easily.
Cool.
I think that's...
beautiful.
Yeah, I think Andy pointed it out when we were counting up results. It seemed like a couple of your AM drivers came across ahead of Love 46, so it looks pretty good.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll have more official word here in a bit, but that is how it looks. Once again, Daniel,
awesome.
Congratulations. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Take care.
And that's Daniel Morad. Really solid day. I mean, I have never seen 4 drivers dominate a day like that, aside from maybe Stuart Haas racing at Talladega in 2018, and even then, not quite like this. Just really, really good stuff. We are going to move on down the line. The next streamer that comes up is none other than Love46.
Yeah, let's have a word, shall we, with Love46. That was a brilliant fight. We've just had Dave Cam in here chatting about the battle that you two had. He enjoyed it. Did you?
May have stepped aside for just a moment. Love46, you got a copy?
Sorry? Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. We were just talking about the race that you had with Dave Cam. Then he told us how much he enjoyed that battle. Did you enjoy it too?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. It was a really clean and nice battle. Unfortunately, I had some damage on my front because I get into the trouble after killing on lap 2. But that was a good fight, so I really enjoyed the race, and I'm so happy that it was clean and nice race from everybody on the track.
Yeah, that damage, we're seeing it now on the stream, a little bit of damage to the left front corner. How much was that affecting the car as the race went on?
It affects a lot because as soon as I lost the slipstream from Dave Cam, I just couldn't catch him at all. So I lost the slipstream because we got some issues with lap down cars, but it's fine. I really enjoyed the race and the fight also, so that was good.
Of course, you weren't the only driver in your team getting involved in the battles, but you all managed to score really quite well. We haven't worked the points out exactly, but we believe you could even be the second best scoring team. So that's a pretty awesome result.
Yeah, I'm so happy with my teammates. We did all really nice job, and so yeah, I'm so happy that we finished really good with our positions, and we had a good fight on the track. And also, I really like Road America, one of my favorite tracks.
Okay, well, that maybe explains why you were going so quickly there, especially in the middle part of the race. It's a great event to be a part of this as well, isn't it? Some really good names out there, and they're all pretty quick. So it must mean a lot to be, one of the most competitive teams out there.
Yeah, it means a lot for me. So we did good practice together. Also, my teammates practice on their own, and I'm so happy with my pace, by the way, because during the last year, I think with the GT3, I improved a lot. I was completely new with these cars. Right now, I'm feeling so much better. So I'm happy with the progress of my own progress and of my teammates also.
Yeah, well, we really enjoyed watching you out there. We were rooting for you the whole time to keep on scoring good points. It's been a fantastic day for you and all of the team. You can all be really proud of that.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for this amazing event. That was really cool, and I hope to see more races like this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Love46, well done. Andrew, they did such a good job as a whole team, didn't they? And it's good to see that they enjoyed themselves as well.
Yeah, I saw Matt Loveridge check in on the YouTube chat, and of course, Bruno Carnero led the way. Really, really solid. Anytime you put 3 drivers on the same team in the top 10, especially in this event, you're doing pretty good. So really, seriously, props to Love46 and her entire team. Really, really good stuff. We'll move on down the line. Then the next finishing streamer is going to be none other than Balkan. And we will drag Balkan on in. And I checked in earlier on, Balkan, to your stream when you were getting ready, getting the practice server up and everything. And the first thing that caught me by surprise is the fact that you guys all went for Lamborghinis. Why was that?
I don't know. It's just something we picked. We originally were going to do Ferrari because it's kind of a safer car to drive. But I think some of my teammates tried the Lambo as well, just to kind of see. And because it's a fixed setup, I think Lambo was pretty competitive for this track, so we just kind of went with it. And I think we thought it would be funny if we all picked the exact same car, same paint, just to kind of stand out on the track.
Well, stand out you guys did with that kind of satin purple and metallic blue. Every car looked great. Tyson led the day for you for quite a while. What happened to him? Did you hear? Were you guys in Discord together?
No, he wasn't in my voice chat. I kind of left him. I had a few of the guys, but not all of them were there. So I don't know what happened to him. I just kind of my chat told me that he crashed, but I didn't really check the replay, so I'm not really too sure.
Now speaking of chat, you fought with Matt Malone, David Sampson, Samsoid, and Dan Suzuki for lap after lap through that midsection of the race. What was chat saying? Were they going crazy when all that was happening? What was that like?
Yeah, it was a great battle. I think chat was kind of just holding and waiting for a crash or something. It was really close battling for quite a few laps. It was great. I enjoyed every moment of it. It was kind of tough because this track is Dan is a very tough driver. He knows how to defend properly, and I hope I didn't get him mad for that little scent at the end of our battle. But no, it was great. It was great. That's what you want to get from games like or simulators like this, you know. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Especially with these races like this, we're able to bring you 7 streamers together and just put a bunch of other sim races out on the track and just have a good day of racing. How important are these events for the streaming community, do you feel?
Oh, I think it's great. I think this is what Scott did and the guys from that league, what they put together. This is our second time doing it, and I think it's great for the community, seeing all these streamers. And I mean, you can tell typically from my viewership, I can tell that everyone's streaming because my viewership, it was like 1/3 of what I usually get. So that's great to see. You know, it's these type of events are just wonderful for the community on Twitch and iRacing in general.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot we're multitasking between the broadcast and you guys. We appreciate all of that. We appreciate the effort behind the event. We appreciate everything that you guys, the streamers, do, bring all this attention. Thank you so much, and everybody else that made all of this happen. And hey, best of luck in the next one. I'm sure there's another one coming up.
Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. I'm sure hopefully we'll put a good show for you guys. And on to the next one, I guess. Have a good one.
Yeah, it was fantastic stuff. Have a great day. That is Balkan finishing in the 11th position in that Lamborghini. Pretty good day, especially right ahead of these two right behind. You can see Samson right back there. Now, Dan Suzuki did fall back right at the end, but I'm sure, Andy, that Samsoid has some information as to maybe why that happened. We'll bring him in.
Okay, let's see what he's got to say for himself then. Samsoid, thanks for joining us. That was pretty fun, wasn't it?
I had a brilliant time. Yeah, thanks for having me. I knew I was going to enjoy it, but to be battling, side by side with all the streamers like that in that kind of respectful setting was, that's what it's about, right? That's what I was pumped for the entire hour.
And you couldn't have scripted that either. The way that you all sort of found each other in the middle of the race, that was brilliant.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, I know those guys and I know their speed and their respectful. Yeah, exactly. It was like it was scripted. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was pushing with everything I had just to stay with them and try and make a move. But yeah, they're a really great bunch. And I was just seriously impressed. There was an incident in the kink on lap 1 and the way everyone handled it. And again, super impressed.
Yeah, I mean, the whole ethos of this event really is to go out there and have fun. And I guess you can't have much more fun than racing side by side in GT3 cars at Road America. Is this a track that you enjoy racing at?
Yeah, this is a track I thoroughly enjoy racing. It's got a little bit of everything, right? And it's a long track. There's plenty of time to make up ground. There's the draft, but not too much. It's heavy braking zones, fast speed. I've always loved racing at this track, whether it be multi-class or even sprint. Absolutely love it. Yeah, you're right. GT3, when it's door-to-door racing like that, that's I think the pinnacle of iRacing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see that sort of racing, and between you lot as well. I'm sure your viewers were all cheering you on as their viewers were cheering them on as well. I'm sure they enjoyed that as well.
Correct, yeah. They might be bouncing to and fro a little bit as well, cheering both, but yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of the event as well. It's been great to have you in the team out there, and solid result all round.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and a big shout out to the NRL. This is something I've been looking forward to, and yeah, I appreciate the effort that went into it.
Oh, excellent stuff. Well, yeah, brilliant stuff there. And Andrew, every single one of these people that we're chatting to is saying what a great event this has been to be a part of, how happy they are, and how much they've been looking forward to. I mean, that really sort of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, everybody was very much looking forward to this. Everybody had this day on their calendar and ready for it. I mean, the fact that we were throwing up practice sessions earlier this morning even, each of these streamers are getting their teams ready. It's been very much looked forward to, and same by us. I mean, the fact that we get to talk to all of these guys and see the racing we saw today was really special. There is one more driver for us to speak with. More specifically, one more streamer for us to talk to, and that is Matt Malone. And Matt, you certainly had an exciting day in that number 10 Ferrari. Explain it to us.
Oh, man, that was pretty exciting there. It ended up starting off with a big wreck at the kink. I got out of there with my life, but I was a little damaged, so I did a couple laps. The car was really slow. I had some issues, so I pitted. got that fast repair, and then I headed back out. But yeah, that was wild stuff.
And once you got that fast repair, got that pit stop, you sorted out right with a couple of your best buddies, it seems like. Sam Soyd, Dan Suzuki, Balkan, you guys battled for lap after lap. Unfortunately, it kind of came to a head. What happened there in turn 6?
Yeah, we all came together, and it was really just maybe me getting wrecked there early on was a blessing in disguise, because later on I got to race with all my favorite streamers. But yeah, me and Dan Suzuki were battling it out side by side, and I asked the chat if Dan Suzuki knew the outside dimensions of that Lamborghini, because he done pushed me out wide, that son of a gun.
Yeah, just that little bit of a hip check put you in the grass, and unfortunately, Turn 8 didn't treat you any more nicely. But these kinds of events, it's a lot of fun. You guys get to come out here on a Sunday morning, spend a day with some of your great streaming colleagues, friends, whatever you want to call them, and a bunch of other sim racers. Just a good time then, yeah?
Oh, this is an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to next year's already. I mean, this is just turning into one of the best streamer events of the year. So thanks to you guys for doing a great job you guys do, and to Scott and to everybody that joins, and the people, the people that want to be on the streamer teams, those are the true MVPs, because without them, we wouldn't have this awesome event. So to the viewers and the participants, to put this all on, it's a lot of work. For me, it's kind of easy. I just kind of jump in, but for everyone else that put on the show like this, is really just I applaud them. For me to get on and have fun with everybody is just it's a blast.
I gotta ask, I know Balkan mentioned it a little bit on his stream, and I think maybe another guy did, but how do you pick your team for these events, and how important is it to, I guess, sort through drivers, or do you even do that?
I leave it kind of up to the community. Like a couple of weeks before, maybe I'll just tell everybody about it to make sure some people are available. And then this year I put up a 1 hour session at Road America, and just told everybody, hey, join up, see what kind of lap times you can get. And then whoever's on top of the leaderboard after an hour, I start contacting them and see if they're available for the race. And just kind of, maybe if I got a friend or something that wants to do it, I just kind of pick them. So it's not real, I don't have like a strategy or anything, but it's just kind of community based, and whoever wants to join, see what kind of lap times they can do and go from there.
And now, of course, you do have that striking new livery, the new Matt Malone logo with double M on top of each other there on the door. How'd that go? What was the process like with Tam Liveries getting that sorted out?
Yeah, the rebranding idea started months and months and months ago, and I gave my vision to Tam, and he turned it into what you see today. Absolutely killed it. He nailed it perfectly. I really wanted to embrace my home country and kind of have that theme throughout, and he went above and beyond. So just a whole new look and feel to the channel, to the cars that I race. New website, mattmalonetv.com, if people want to check it out. And 2022, just brand new me, turning over new leaves, and looking forward to the future, Yeah,
I will say that paint scheme is top notch. I have never seen a patriotic livery quite like that. Now, of course, you see a lot in NASCAR, for example, but I think this tops them all. So that's really, really good stuff there from Tam. Matt, just thanks for being here. Seriously, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting the effort into this event. And I know it didn't quite go the way you wanted today, unfortunately, right back where you started as far as 24th. But I think this also gives you an opportunity to go up in the next one, yeah?
Oh, exactly. Yep. Nothing but bigger and better things coming in the future. Hey, even though I got whatever place, 24th, I had an absolute blast, and thank you guys for broadcasting. I'm going to go back and watch the broadcast, because it looks like there are some good battles, so I want to see it from you guys' perspective.
Yeah, that battle with you and Balk and everybody, that was good stuff. Once again, thanks for being here. Congratulations on another pretty successful event. I guess you're part of it anyways, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, thanks, guys.
And that is Matt Malone finishing 24th on the day. I wish there was more to congratulate him on, really, I do. He is one of the streamers that I kind of came up watching in iRacing, so that's pretty cool to get to talk to him there. I do wish he could have finished a little bit higher, but hey, maybe next time. There is always that next time, isn't there, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, his result in the end wasn't all that memorable, but that battle that he had, as we both said, with all of the streamers, that for me is the thing that I'll remember the most from this race. It won't be the domination from Miradness, it won't be who won in the points. That battle for that sort of 10-15 minutes in the middle of the race, that for me was exactly what this event was about, and for Matt to be a part of that, that's brilliant.
So, 50 cars, they've all wrapped up their racing for the day, but one thing we've saved here, not quite for last, and we appreciate that you guys are still here for this because it's actually quite important, the schedule for the next season, well, I guess the first season actually, of Porsche Cup racing here in the North American Racing League. Now, it's been talked about a little bit already, and I think drivers already have access, of course, to the schedule, but we have not talked about it yet at all, and here it is, Andy. Hockenheim, Daytona, Long Beach, Hungaroring, Spa, Charlotte, Road Atlanta, and the Red Bull Ring. This is a really, really exciting spring that we have ahead.
There's a little bit of everything there, isn't there? You've got some of those high-speed flowing circuits like Daytona and Spa, the street circuit at Long Beach. I mean, what a brilliant place to go racing Long Beach is. I really enjoy driving around there. And then, yeah, some of those quirky little tracks like the Hungaroring, which is pretty new to iRacing. Charlotte as well, that's a really challenging circuit. So, yeah, I think whatever you like as a driver or indeed as a viewer, there's something on there for you to enjoy.
Yeah, there's tons here. I really look forward to Hockenheim Ring opening the season, of course, with the Porsche Experience Center on the grounds. That just makes a whole lot of sense. Daytona is going to be fun. February 22nd, right at the tail end of the month of Daytona between IMSA and NASCAR. You mentioned Long Beach. We had Cash Days there in September. That was easily some of the best racing we've ever seen with the North American Racing League. Excited to bring that back then for points competition. Hungaroring will be fun. We had that on the most recent GT3 season. I mean, Spa is Spa, right? We'll just leave that one there. Charlotte, the Roval making an appearance. That's going to be cool. Road Atlanta is always a fantastic place to go racing. One of the best in the world. And Red Bull Ring right there with it. Austria is great for racing.
It is, and a fantastic venue, the Red Bull Ring, always produces good racing, and that's something that I see as a theme in those racetracks. So, you know, one-make Porsche Cup racing is always close, but then give them racetracks where you can actually overtake and get side by side, and that's going to be quite the show.
So that is the Porsche Cup schedule upcoming for the spring of 2022. 8 races. There's that off week there for the March build on iRacing. Hopefully it doesn't change those cars too much. The track's alike. I'm looking so much forward to bringing Porsche Cup racing back to the channel. This will happen on Tuesdays. Interestingly enough, Andy, these races will kick off just a few hours after you guys get done with BSR action for those last couple of events. I want to say at Brands Hatch, GP, and Mount Panorama. So we'll get those started right at the tail end of the BSR season. We'll kind of carry on through the spring, through March and April. Just a lot of great racing, I think, ahead for these guys. One thing we didn't quite touch on just yet from last season of GT3 racing is the team points from last season. Here's a look at them. We talked about full-time esports at the top of the show, leading the way with Pedro de Oliveira, winning the championship. There you go, winning the team championship as well. Duck Hawk Racing there in second. Dark Horse Esports, Kevin San Diego leading that charge. Brian DeVries, I believe, along with, I believe it was Brian DeVries, his teammate, may not have been. Regardless, Dark Horse Esports, good stuff in third. NARL and Team Empire fourth. Bryce Evolution, his YouTube channel, and Evolution Racing there in fifth. Just a good look, I think, throughout. And that Pacific Sim name in 8th place in Pro there, Andy, that's going to be expanded upon. A lot of those guys are coming over for the Porsche Cup schedule. I saw Brady Lubenow on the listing, Nick Ludicky, so some expansion with these new series coming, and a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, new series will always sort of attract new teams and drivers. That's kind of the idea. It's always nice to get some new names over on the North American Racing League, but how close was that for second place in the Teams Championship? 6 points between second, third, and fourth. That shows just how competitive that championship was.
Do want to thank Samsoid coming in with the raid here right at the end on Twitch. But yeah, you're right. These team battles were fantastic through and through. The fact that we had 3 teams within 6 points of each other in Pro at the end is beyond me. I don't know how they managed that. They had great battles the entire season long, and this is how it all comes to a head, and you can see where a lot of these teams might lie going into the next season of Porsche and GT3 racing. I guess, as a whole. We've got more to talk about before we wrap this whole show up, though. Upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV, and this does include one that you'll be racing in, I hope, on Tuesday. But first, this evening, we have SCAR GT1 action at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. GT1 car is going to be fun. That Corvette and Aston going after it at 8:45 Eastern. We'll have Ed Shearer on for commentary with that one. Bristol Motor Speedway, though, on dirt for the BRP iRacing Series. Those are big block modifieds that we'll have on Monday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And Tuesday, that's where we start talking about Andy McEwen again. Daytona, how do you feel about that one?
Do you know what? As a NASCAR fan, there is nothing better than racing at the World Centre of Racing. On the road course, of course, but man, I've never seen a boring Mazda MX-5 race at Daytona. No. It's going to be, slipstreaming everywhere. The finishes are going to be wild. I've got, I think, a 3-point championship lead that I'm trying to defend, and it's going to be a pretty stressful night. But for the viewers, yeah, that's going to be some of the best racing you'll see anywhere.
And the important thing you said there is finishes, not just finish. We've got 4 races, 15 minutes apiece with inverts in between, and those inverts usually flip at least about 15 to 20 or so of those cars. How do you navigate that as a driver?
Well, what I find with the inverts is that if I finish 16th, it's always the top 15 that gets reversed. That's the theme, it seems to me. But it makes the races unpredictable. It gives lots of different drivers an opportunity to get their little moment in the spotlight at the front. And some of these Pro-Am drivers especially, they're really quick. If you give them some clear track at the front, they hold their own and they're not easy to overtake. But that's what makes the racing so good. There is always something happening. And at a track like Daytona, where you can move through the pack, we're going to see some really, really exciting racing.
And through the rest of next week, we'll have the NORC iRacing Series back with the Norctona Truck 250 on Tuesday night as well. Then we'll have BSRTC action. That's touring cars with the same British sim racers. They will also be at Daytona. That'll happen on Thursday, same time as Tuesday, though, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can see some of our social links there at the bottom. We seriously would appreciate some of you guys checking out what we had today. We had Ed Shearer and Joe Donahue going to town on social media, filling up with some content. Great stuff out there, and some great recaps actually from BSRTC at Spa this past week, and a lot more on the way, even some clips from NORC. A lot of great stuff to check out on our social media pages there. Facebook.com/pitstoptv, Twitter.com/pitstoptv_, Instagram.com and Twitch.tv actually have the same username, pit_stop_TV, and of course YouTube.com/C/pitstoptv1. Ooh, gotta catch my breath again. Andy, seriously, thank you so much for being here. This is one of our biggest streams, I think, of the year. NARL has made it such. Scott Reister and his efforts have made it such, with Tam Liveries there as well. This has just been good stuff. It's been fun having you.
I'm glad you told me that after we'd finished, not before, because that would have got the heart rate up a bit. But really enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me. If you give me any excuse to talk about some really good racing, I'll always be there. So, hope to work with you again soon.
And we do have some great partners here at the North American Racing League to mention as well. Of course, Race Lab, Tam Livery, JS Consulting. They all play their own part into making the North American Racing League what it is. With Race Lab, it helps you to improve your driving skills, modern overlays, race statistics, and the whole lot, including native VR integration, which is oh so important as more and more iRacers make the switch over to VR. To have that native VR integration is so important in an overlay set. You can start using it now for free at racelab.app. You can also go on over to Tam Liveries, where Tam offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. If you liked Matt Malone's rebrand and stream, that is the best advertisement Tam Liveries could have possibly given you. Check out Tam Liveries, seriously. Massively good stuff work there, good work there from Tam Liveries, if I can get my words there correct. Also, all of the league branding here at the North American Racing League, the league logos, the posters, everything that goes out, that is all Tam Liveries, which is only further advertisement, I guess, for Tam Liveries and what he can do. It's great stuff. And of course, JS Consulting handling the website duties pretty much and whatnot here for NARL. JS Consulting does provide custom website and app development, including iRacing League, website design, and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. We've got our own share of partners here at Pit Stop TV. We can go on and get these guys in. Tucson Sound Art, your picture is your music. Go to TucsonSoundArt.com and use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order. It's basically a wall-mounted sound art device. So if you've seen kind of the wall art that's been floating around these last few years, gaining popularity, think that, but with a Bluetooth speaker inside. So you put it up on your wall. Very easy to put up. I've got one myself. I can speak from experience on this. Very easy to get up on the wall, and it plays music. When I'm doing broadcast work, getting cameras made, overlays, what have you, to just have that, so I don't have to have my headphones on the entire time, making my ears all sweaty, to have that Bluetooth speaker just sitting up on the wall is oh so convenient, and it looks great. I mean, it's got a picture on it. It's quality vinyl that goes around it. It's just good stuff. Tucson Sound Art is a product that I will stand by until the day I die. I do also want to mention, of course, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, one of our premier partners here at Pitstop TV, where you deserve the best care that money can buy, as well as Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pitstop TV. If you want any of the graphics or cameras that you see in any of our Pitstop TV broadcasts, Whiplash Media is the place to go. And of course, BAM Racing Videos, with a lot of our real-life B-roll by a race fan for the racing community. I'll catch my breath one more time here, Andy. Final thoughts then from the North American Racing League Streamer Championship.
Well, it lived up to the billing, didn't it? We expected a good race, hard-fought battles throughout the field, some star names out there. In fact, one star name that we didn't expect to see out there, but made a welcome appearance in Tony Kanaan as well. This race had absolutely everything, and just hearing the feedback there from the streamers that we spoke to after the race, and the enthusiasm that they have for the event, I think it's only going to keep on growing, and that's fantastic news.
Absolutely. To have TK join these guys only adds to the stardom factor, right? I think we had 9 drivers that easily, I think, attained that kind of stardom factor. You have each of the 7 streamers that had their teams today. Throw in Corkatized, he's got a big following, and throw in Tony Kanaan. That's easily 9, if not more, that really, I think, take the cake as far as being special and making this field what it was today. And let's not discount the effort of the other 41. Each of the drivers that these streamers picked did a fantastic job today. You want to talk about Dion Fiallo, maybe Solia Almeida, maybe Giuliano Romagnolo. Of course, those are just the Maradness guys, but you had Bruno Carnero, you had Matt Loveridge, Owen Carroll as well, being a late addition, Marie Harushka. That's just a top 10 drivers. So many great drivers in this field made this race what it was. And as Matt kind of touched on there at the end of his interview, without those drivers joining this, it wouldn't be what it is. So without everybody's effort, none of this would have happened like it did. Thank you to everybody, be it Scott Reister, John Sedlak, Scott Kimbrough, everybody that makes things happen at the NARL, all of the streamers that joined in today, of course, headlining this event, all of their drivers, doesn't matter. If you were a part of this, thank you so much on behalf of all of Pitstop TV. You briefly saw our crew there at the bottom right. I do want to thank you guys that joined us on this adventure today. Of course, Andy McEwen alongside me in the commentator's box all day long, as well as Joe Donahue and Ed Schur, both handling social media and a whole lot more. Was really, really cool. And for Joe to kind of move into that social media role was interesting. I know he's been excited to get it done, and Ed has been excited to join the party here at Pitstop TV. You can do so as well. Email me at andrew@pitstoptv.com, and we can get you in, be it if you want to be a part of the broadcast crew, if you want to advertise, or maybe get your league on Pitstop TV, go ahead and drop me an email. Once again, for all of Pitstop TV, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time, hopefully, at the SCAR GT1 race here in just a little while at Montreal, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and lived without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4 twisting, beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek, Road America, the racetrack, the national park of speed.